Today we're ranking everything in Blox fruits on a tier list. Everything. From fruits, swords, fighting styles, and even races, you name it, this will be your ultimate guide to Blox fruits. Starting with, of course, Blox fruits, but we'll do it a little differently. We'll be ranking every single fruit based on their powers in the anime One Piece. Starting off with the rocket. Honestly, one of the coolest looking fruits in the game to me. And even the fruit itself, like, look at this. You use the Z move, turn into Mega Man. Boom. Air strike, rocket crash, and of course, blast off. Now, of course, we all know there is no such thing as the rocket fruit in One Piece. The closest one, however, is the Buki Buki no Mi. So this fruit allows the user to pretty much turn any part of their body into weapons, such as this giant cannon right here. Could be a pistol, could even be a fork, because apparently that's a weapon on airplanes. Don't ask how I know. So its strength is definitely versatility, depending on what kind of weapon you want to turn into. There's not much known about its weaknesses at the moment. So based on what we know about this fruit so far, and considering the other sick fruits that are coming up, I will put this at a C tier. The second fruit that we have, another common, is the spin fruit. All it does is spins around. In terms of the fruit itself, all it does is spin around. The range is absolutely atrocious. Also, is it me or does this thing look like an oddish from Pokemon? And in the world of One Piece, it is called the Guru Guru no Mi. And its user, his name is Buffalo, which also happens to be on Doflamingo's crew. And just like its name suggests, spinning around is all it did. This man served absolutely no purpose in the anime whatsoever, other than having the Doflamingo Jolly Roger on his teeth. That's pretty hardcore. In terms of strength, there are none, and in terms of weakness, it's useless. The spin fruit ends up in F tier. It's not very good in Blox fruits or One Piece. Next up, we got the chop fruit. In terms of appearance, it's very abstract. Look at the stem just floating like it's got chopped off. And in terms of abilities, not only does it have attacks, it also has a passive that makes you immune to swords. Look at this. It's called body separation. But offense-wise, I mean, it is pretty weak. It's not very good for grinding. It's more of a troll fruit. Look at that. It looks pretty funny. And of course, for this one, you somehow also turn into a helicopter. Now, in One Piece, of course, the name Bara Bara no Mi reigns throughout the entire grind line because its owner is none other than Buggy D. Cloud. He is immune to sword attacks because he can just separate his body. But not only that, Buggy is also able to separate and control any part of his body telekinetically. I think the weakness is the chop fruit doesn't really grant any extra strength to the user in terms of offense. And that's why it's even more impressive that Buggy became an emperor of the sea just by his raw strength and talent alone. Alright, but all jokes aside, chop goes to F. Next up is another low tier spring. There's not much to be said about it. The skills are very outdated. The animations are not smooth at all. It deals absolutely no damage whatsoever. Not good for any purpose. I guess the only cool fact about this fruit is when you're bouncing across a bridge, it goes faster than the speed of light. In the anime One Piece, however, the Bane Bane fruit that was eaten by Bellamy the hyena proves to be just as useless. Other than using the spring's momentum to make himself travel faster to land a direct hit on Luffy's fist with his face, he really did nothing with the fruit. Absolutely no creativity from Bellamy whatsoever. We do not see any upsides from the spring fruit at all, so it's gonna have to land in the F tier. So far, this is kind of looking like a Blox fruits tier list. Next up, we got the bomb fruit, looking sick. In terms of the abilities, this was previously known as the worst fruit in the game, but they recently revamped it and actually made the abilities a lot better. Targeted bomb, it got much better increased range. So honestly, I kind of grown to like this fruit over the years, but on the other hand, in One Piece, this booger bomb dude, Mr. 5, just really grossed me out. You mean to tell me he could turn any part of his body into a bomb and explode without taking any damage, and all he does is flick his booger around? Easiest F I've ever given. Alright, next up we have the smoke, our first Logia, or in Blox fruits, elemental fruit. The skills are undeniable for such a cheap fruit. You have great range with the smoke blast and smoke liberation, and you also have a flight that travels pretty good distance and also deals damage at the same time. And its equivalent, of course, is the Moku Moku no Mi, possessed by none other than the White Hunter himself, Smoker. Overall, I just haven't seen anything great come out of Smoker. This man has simply taken way too many L's. It could be him, or it could be the fruit. So, for now, the smoke lands in the C tier. Next up, we got the spike. This thing is looking like it's straight out of a Mr. Beast video. You couldn't pay me enough money to eat this thing. But at this point, this fruit is pretty much known as the broke boy's dough fruit. Like, if you don't have money for a dough, just use the spike. Like, you can't tell me this is not just a mini dough. Now, in the anime, the Toge Toge no Mi was eaten by Miss Doublefinger. I do not want to know what that means. Now, this fruit has pretty good offensive and defensive capabilities, as it could turn yourself into spikes to attack your enemies and also prevent your enemies from getting close enough to attack you. But overall, it was still pretty weak as she was defeated by pre-time skip Nami. The spikes also don't seem like very deadly because they pierced Nami many times and didn't really seem to hurt her all that much. Could be power scaling, I have no idea, but based on what I've seen, the spike fruit goes into to F. Finally, moving on to the uncommon category, we got the Flame. The second cheapest elemental fruit you can get. The fruit design is pretty cool. I love the pirate hat on top of it, and the fruit itself is very, very good, especially the Awakening. It does pretty good damage. Hiken! Vertical Hiken! Okay, I missed that one. Like, come on, just look at this. You just summon a sun. And also, the rocket flight is pretty fast. So although this fruit is decent in Blox fruits in the anime, it's actually seen as very overpowered and is wielded by none other than Portgas D Ace. If you ever wondered what the D stands for, it's donuts. It's been over 10 years. You cannot cancel me, Ace fan. Not only is it a Logia that prevents Ace from being hit by non-hockey users, also has insane damage output as demonstrated by Ace and Sabo later on. There was nobody that Ace couldn't square off against, except for a certain guy, which we'll talk about later on. It's also very practical, like we've seen Ace use it to power his small boats, and he can also start fires whenever needed. I think the only downside is this fruit does have a natural enemy. It's not water. But for now, Flame is our first very solid entry into the B tier. Next up, we got the Falcon. This fruit is pretty much useless in the Blox fruits verse. There's not much you could do with it. The first move is literally just adding wings on your back so you could even start using the rest of the skills. Now, the Tori Tori no Mi eaten by Pell and Alabasta proved that it's much more useful in that One Piece anime. Pell was able to go full transformation or have a hybrid form that significantly increases his offensive and defensive capabilities as well as speed. Like, this dude was going so fast that his enemies couldn't even see him. And this man even took a nuke to the face and came out holding crutches. He's indestructible. In Blox fruits is an easy F, but in the anime, a solid C. Another Logia we have is the Ice fruit. This is actually one of the most popular fruits for grinding and PvPing, and it even has an Awakening too. Look at it. It just looks cold. No pun intended. In terms of abilities, it has this Ice Spear that helps with grinding in the first sea. It has insane combo potential, making it really one of the best fruits in Blox fruit. But how does it fare in the One Piece universe? Well, it turns out the Hie Hie no Mi in One Piece is also insanely overpowered. And not only that, it is possessed by one of the strongest characters, Kuzan, or as they call him, Aokiji. It pretty much allows the user to create, control, and even transform into ice at will. And you can see him use it to freeze pretty much the entire Straw Hat crew and Whitebeard Tsunami, which is supposed to be indestructible. And its effect pretty much nullifies the weakness of Devil Fruit users that drown in water, because if you just turn the water into ice, the only weakness of this nearly perfect fruit is having a natural weakness that is also shared by the Flame fruit. We'll get into that later, and that is why it is not a S tier, but a very comfortable A. Next up, we got the Sand fruit. I like the design overall. It's like melting like a quicksand. The fruit itself is an elemental, however, not as useful as the previous one, the Ice fruit. Grinding is not so great with it. And also, with the Sand fruit, you drown twice as fast in water. Look how fast that was. In One Piece, the fruit's name is the Suna Suna no Mi, and its user is none other than one of the strongest characters, Crocodile. A former warlord, underground syndicate, leader of Baroque Works, and a casino owner, and now the current leader of Cross Guild. And as a warlord does, he has pretty much mastered his fruit to absolute perfection. This dude literally sucked the life out of Luffy, and it's one of the rare Logia fruits that actually gave him a power-up for living in a desert kingdom, so he was even stronger on Alabasta. However, with strong power comes strong weaknesses. If you pretty much just dump a bucket of water on him or even just spit at him, his devil fruit is rendered useless. Honestly, because of its weakness alone, like F tier. It has no point of being even a Logia fruit. Everything is made out of water. Alright, onto the dark fruit, weirdest looking fruit in the game. In terms of popularity, this is one of the best fruits for PvPs. It's absolutely perfect for chaining combos. That's pretty good in Blox fruits, right? It's okay, people like it. Well, in the anime, it is known as the strongest Logia in the entire universe. The Yami Yami no Mi is used by the Yonko Blackbeard and is known to grant the user with the most evil ability. It can generate dark holes and sucks everything into darkness. Pause. And that includes Devil Fruit abilities. As a Devil Fruit user, when the darkness touches you, it completely nullifies your Devil Fruit ability. It does come with a downside because darkness, you know, it swallows everything. Pause. And that means the dark user also absorbs attacks, making this damage way more painful. And Blackbeard also studied this fruit for years, so he knows exactly what its capabilities are and able to use it to its full potential. I think based on its unstoppable force and like unlimited potential to just suck everything in, this is gonna be our first S tier. Next up, we got the Diamond fruit. Absolutely worthless unlike a real diamond. Encrust! Yeah, dude, you literally have only 3 attacks and they barely deal any damage. Solar Flare! Yeah, no redeemable features whatsoever. The Kira Kira no Mi, on the other hand, is been consumed by none other than the 3rd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, Diamond Joseph! That fruit's encrust actually makes him like virtually untouchable. This guy was able to deflect Mihawk Blox slashing sword attack, which is like one of the strongest attacks in the world. In the hands of Jozu, who is very powerful, the only downside is it's not a Logia, so he can't just like make unlimited diamonds and just become super baller. So honestly, guys, just try not to think this is Blox fruits. The diamond fruits gotta have a spot in the A tier, man. Next up, we got the life fruit, one of the best fruits in the game. It has elemental immunity, M1 click, and awakening, and insanely fast mobility. Now let's talk about One Piece. The Pika Pika no Mi might even be more overpowered, and its user is another admiral for Seleno or Kizaru. He can travel at the speed of light. On top of that, he could turn light into a physical form and attack opponents and hit them before they could even see what the hell's even happening. He took out an entire tree as Saboti with just one kick. The only weakness we could talk about with the life fruit is its user, while using it, can only travel in a straight line. Same goes with his attacks. He can only shoot light beams in a straight line, but because they go so fast, he'll never miss his target. I really want to say this is like a low S tier, but for now, we're gonna put it a very high A. It's time to sound the drums of liberation! Everything comes with rubber capabilities. You get the rubber cannon, the smash. In addition to all of that, because it's rubber, also makes you immune to guns. However, in the world of One Piece, it is known as the greatest fruit of all time. The Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika, aka the sun god. Warrior of liberation, joy boy. So this fruit, like I said, turns you into a god and allows you to do basically anything that you can imagine. Just think about something right now. Yeah, you could do that as long as you have the fruit. Like this dude Luffy, when he awakened Gear 5 Sun God mode, he was so sure that he got the W in the bag, he was laughing the whole way he was bodying Kaido. This man can throw thunder, turn into a giant, play Kaido around like a jumping rope, and turn everything surrounding him into rubber. This is the greatest power the world has ever seen. And remember how I said every fruit has its weakness? Well, this one apparently doesn't. And because of that, I think it needs a tier of its own. We are putting the rubber fruit into God tier. Next up, we got the barrier fruit. As you can tell, pretty much used as a trolling fruit at this point. Really not much use in terms of grinding or PvPs. You just kind of like yeet people with your barriers. And in One Piece, the Body Body no Mi, which is used by our favorite character, Bartolo. No, not this guy. Bartolomeo. My man just goes straight up domain expansion. He blocks like every single powerful attack. And not only that, very similar to his abilities in Blox fruits, in the anime, he could push the barriers against opponents to attack them at will, and also build structures for him to get to places that are harder to access. So even has some offensive capabilities, but it's literally untouchable in terms of defense. So I would honestly just put that in the B tier. The ghost fruit. Boom. Okay, that was not scary. Neither is this fruit. It actually looks pretty adorable. It was recently revamped to turn into something that's unrecognizable from what it was before. Now, the Yomi Yomi no Mi in One Piece was eaten by, of course, Soul King Brook, and this fruit is very devious because it's absolutely pointless until you die. If you want to use the powers of the fruit, you have to get oofed first, because the main ability of the fruit is it gives you a second chance at life. I'm not even sure if that's a good thing. Yeah, no thanks. I would say the strength of it is you get to retain your soul and control it however you want. In the anime, you can see Brook have pretty much an outer body experience and have his soul wander around. Knowing Brook, there's only one place he's visiting. I'm not gonna mention it on this video. So I would say that is not a huge plus in exchange for literally dying. I'm gonna have to throw this in the F tier. I never want to eat this fruit. But the same can't be said about the next fruit, the magma. I think it is the highest damage fruit in the entire game. The damage output is insane. Insane for PvPs. Very, very good for grinding. Pretty good fruit overall. But you know what though? It's not as good as its counterpart in One Piece, the Magu Magu no Mi. The user is Akainu, currently Fleet Admiral of the Marines, one of the strongest Marines, if not the strongest. And its power is like the second most destructive in the world. The first place is actually coming up next. And what better person to have it than this? God, I hate this guy so much. The user, when have eaten it, not only gets the Logia effect, but has the ability to generate, control, and become magma. The hottest substance in the entire world. That magma just be cooking fire into a donut. And this dude, Akainu fa Aokiji on Punk Hazard for 10 days and permanently changed half the island into just being covered by magma. I can't think of any weaknesses to this fruit other than the fact of it being just too damn good. Easy S tier for me. The Quake, into the legendary category now. The fruit itself is in desperate need of a rework, guys. It's incredibly outdated, even though it does have an awakening, surprisingly. Overall, not that great. Now let's talk about One Piece. Remember how I said the Magu Magu no Mi had the second most destructive power? Well, the Gura Gura no Mi has the first. And who better to have eaten it than Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world? This fruit gives the ability for the user to generate shockwaves and earthquakes through any medium. You could summon tsunamis that easily wipe out entire islands. There is a problem that comes with such destructive power though. When you summon a tsunami and your boys are with you, well, guess what? They're drowning too. It's just impossible to control. A classic case of suffering from its own success. I would give this a high B tier. Buddha! This is the best fruit for grinding, especially in late game. The awakened transformation turns into a giant Buddha, and these NPCs, pretty much, they can't touch you. It's the best for fighting bosses as well. Surprisingly, this is a beast type in Blox fruits, and in One Piece, this is the human fruit Model Buddha, a mythical Zoan. These things are rarer than Logias. Not much is known about this fruit other than it lets the users transform into a giant Buddha that clearly has skipped every single leg day since the 5th century. And he also punched that dude one time. That was kind of satisfying. Other than that, he didn't really demonstrate any abilities, strengths, or weaknesses. The only downside I could think of is, let's say you're sitting on the toilet and you're going angry Hulk mode, turn into a Buddha, your whole house is collapsing. So with this being hard to gauge, but the fact that it is a mythical Zoan, I think it would at least be like a top tier A fruit. Next up, we got the Love Fruit. What I recently did find out was that the Love Fruit has like one of the longest ranges in the game with its X move. You could pretty much like shoot it anywhere, and you get to summon your besto friendo. Hey, it's my boy Crispy. Get him, Crispy. Yeah, get him. And of course, the Flamingo Ride. Pretty funny fruit, I would think. Now, the Mero Mero no Mi, the user is of course Snake Princess Boa Hancock. This fruit is actually overpowered. It has the ability to turn anyone that lusts after the user just into stone upon contact, and they just die. And as far as I can tell, you don't even have to touch the enemies. You could just shoot them with those love arrows like from a range too, and it does not matter how much weaker or stronger that opponent is. So in the hands of somebody who's very attractive like Boa Hancock or maybe Zoro, it is just completely overpowered. In my hands, it's pretty much useless. I'm gonna have to put this in like low A tier. This thing is very strong in the right hands. All right, onto the Spider Fruit. Is a natural type fruit and has an awakening. Its moves are very good for combos, not so great for grinding. Look at that minigun. You can summon a minigun. The fruit itself, I would say, is very offense heavy, definitely more geared towards PvPs, not very useful for PvEs. Let's move on to One Piece. The Ito Ito no Mi. The user, the heavenly demon, former warlord of the sea, Don Quixote do Flamingo. When I first saw the fruit, dude was into some voodoo puppetry stuff, and in Dressrosa, he showed us the true potential of the string fruit, and it is overpowered. He uses them to fly, slice with multiple strings, shoot strings as bullets, create clones with strings, and even stitch his own wounds up with strings, and even create a massive bird cage that slowly closes and kills everyone with its vicinity. And to make matters even worse, this dude even awakened it, turning everything around him into string with string properties. I gotta give it an A tier, at least an A tier. Next up, we got the Sound Fruit. Is one of the coolest looking fruits in the world. I think the fruit is actually pretty good for combos. People don't really use it for grinding. The cool thing about this fruit is it has a tempo meter if you are able to fill it up. It gives not only yourself, but your entire allies insane boost. So the Oto Oto no Mi, the user, Apu, is able to turn any part of his body into musical instruments. And while playing those musical instruments, he is able to deal instant, unavoidable damage to his target. Could be in the form of slashes, impact, or explosions. Sounds pretty overpowered, right? Not if you cover your ears. If you don't hear his musical notes, it does nothing to you. And for the Uta Uta fruit, Uta is able to simply sing as a form of a domain expansion and trap everyone in her magical dream world. That is also pretty overpowered. Unless she falls asleep, in which case the domain is gone and everybody comes back to normal. So not great, but also not bad. I will put them both at the B tier. All right, moving on to the next one. We got Phoenix. Look at this flaming blue ball of Phoenix. Very simple. This fruit turns you into a phoenix. One of the few Zoan fruits that has an awakening. It deals pretty decent damage. I won't dwell too much on this fruit. The main ability being the blue flames, which can actually heal your health. Very much like its counterpart in One Piece, the Tori Tori no Mi Model Phoenix, its current user, Pineapple the Phoenix. Very much like other Zoans, it allows the user to transform into a hybrid or full Phoenix form, giving them a boost in speed, strength, and endurance. But what makes the Phoenix fruit stand out is the blue flames of resurrection. Pretty much it allows the user Marco to rapidly heal any injuries that he sustains during battle, health, and also he can heal other people too. This is definitely more of a defensive healing oriented Zoan fruit because it doesn't really give Marco a leg up in terms of having special attacks. And for that reason, I think the Phoenix fruit stands at a very comfortable high B, just like right under the Quake and right above the lane. This is perfect. Whitebeard and his 1st and 2nd division commanders in a row. Well, hello there. Next fruit we got is the Portal. This has recently become one of the most popular fruits in the game because not only does it allow the user to travel to literally any part of the map, it also lets the user do some crazy combos and PvPs. I would say this is the fruit that has the best mobility, the M1 click, the Portal dash, the Quantum leap, and of course the World Warp. Now, of course, in One Piece it's called the Door fruit, the Doa Doa no Mi, used by Blueno in CP9, and honestly, it's not very powerful. So pretty much the user can create a door that grants passage to another dimension, and he can even turn people into doors like he did to Luffy. But as far as I know, the doors themselves have a time limit, so you gotta get out before you're trapped in a dimension like forever. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the doors range are pretty limited, so you can't travel across the seas like you can in Blox fruit. I would put the Door fruit in C tier. It's definitely better than the Falcon. The Rumble fruit. This thing has just insane stunning capabilities. Every move it pulls just stuns your opponent. And check this out. Spirit Bomb! Now, the Goro Goro fruit in One Piece is eaten by God Eminem himself. They like to call him Manel for some reason. And it is just a destruction machine. Eminem can pretty much generate unlimited amount of voltage at will. We saw this man just beam down lightning, smiting people like he's actual god, killing pretty much everybody he touches. And not only that, he's mastered the fruit to such an extent that he's able to transform into a thunder god and also use electricity to pump his heart back to beating when he died. And not only that, this fruit has pretty good practical use because you could see Enel pretty much powering a massive ship with his electricity. The only drawback to this fruit is, of course, his natural enemy, the rubber. And thank God Luffy had the rubber fruit because otherwise One Piece would have ended as Skypiea. That's how strong Eminem was. I'm sorry, this is a S tier fruit. Next up, we got the Pain fruit. The skills are very repetitive. The Pain Barrage, which is just like a bunch of small paws, and the Pain Nuke is just one big paw, and the Torture is a red paw. Completely useless fruit, in my opinion. Well, in One Piece, the Nikyu Nikyu no Mi, which is the Pawpaw fruit, is used by former warlord and current robot Bartholomew Kuma. Anything that the paw touches will be pushed away at any force and any speed the user desires, which is pretty crazy, but it doesn't just apply to physical objects. It applies to pain, illnesses, and even memories. So it seems like the only weakness this fruit has is it only applies to the user's paws and nowhere else on their body. I would definitely put this in the A tier. It would not be this high up in Blox fruit's tier list. Next up, we got the Blizzard fruit. So the Blizzard fruit is actually an elemental type and one of the most versatile fruits in the game because of its insanely high damage output. Look at that. Shuriken! And of course, the Blizzard domain expansion. Yoki Tenkai! In One Piece, it is the Yuki Yuki no Mi, which is the snow fruit, and its current user is Monate. Although it's a Logia fruit, snow really isn't known for dealing a lot of damage. Like, what are you gonna do? Throw snowballs at your opponents? And that is why Monate completely got obliterated. It is also much more inferior to Aokiji's ice fruit. Not much is known about the snow fruit's weaknesses, but it doesn't really have any strengths either. So I'm just gonna give it like a low tier B. All right, moving on to the mythical category. We're finally in the end game now. Right off the bat, the gravity fruit looks really cool. It's a meteor with its own gravitational pull, but it's not really good for mobs, and I don't think it's very good for combos either because there could be easily escaped. Now, the user of the Zushi Zushi no Mi in One Piece is another admiral, Isho, or as he's known as Fujitora. Having this devil fruit allows the user to create and control gravitational forces at any range he wants. And this can go from just moving small objects to levitating gigantic battleships. And there seems to be like no limit to the range of his gravitational force because this dude pulled a meteor out of space. If that's not gangster, I don't know what is. And at the moment, I don't think there is any known weakness about this gravity fruit, so it's very overpowered. We are definitely putting this into the A tier. We have the mammoth, so you could transform into a giant armored mammoth and just like run around. You can also stampede and just like push your enemies back. This is actually pretty good for grinding. Now, the Zozo no Mi is eaten by one of the 3 all-stars on Kaido's crew, Jack the Drought. So other than those physical stab boosts, I don't think the fruit really gives you any special abilities other than just like moving your trunk around to hit your opponents. It makes makes you huge and slow, so you're an easy target and you can't escape attacks. Maybe that's why Jack is currently tied with Smoker for most L's taken. I would honestly put this in like not even the B but the high C tier. It's just not that good. It's useless. Alright, next up, the T-Rex. This thing is menacing, an armored skeleton T-Rex with red eyes. And once you have it equipped, you even have a tail, you are able to M1 with it, which is a huge plus for a non-Logia fruit. And once your Fury meter is fully filled up, you are able to transform into a massive T-Rex. This thing is a beast. Now, in One Piece, we have not seen an actual T-Rex fruit yet, but we do have something that's really close. The Real no Mi Model Allosaurus. And this one's current user is X-Drake. So this is once again an ancient Zoan that shares the similar physical traits as the other ones. Increased stamina, durability, speed, attack, all that good stuff. I would say what makes this Allosaurus fruit much better than the Mammoth, for example, is it makes the user very fast and agile. And for only that specific reason, I would put it like slightly above the Mammoth, above the C tier, and it'll land right in the B tier. Alright, so now we got everybody's favorite PvP fruit, the Dough. So there is absolutely no doubt about the capabilities of the Dough fruit. You could pretty much one-shot combo anybody that you meet in a public server as long as you do it right. This fruit is so good, in fact, that even before receiving its awakening, it was already one of the best fruits in the game for destroying your opponents. Now, how is it in One Piece? I think even non-One Piece fans know about the Mochi no Mi that is used by our favorite sweet commander, Charlotte Katakuri. It is a special paramecia that lets the user create, manipulate, and also turn into mochi at will. This is one of the first fruits that we saw was able to pretty much mimic Luffy's rubber capabilities in every single way, but make it even better. So Katakuri's moveset has like probably hundreds of skills. We can't even go over them all. The reason why it's a special paramecia is the user can also use it to mimic the effects of a Logia. Fighting the mochi user probably gave Luffy the toughest battle of his career, on top of the fact that Katakuri has it fully awakened so he could turn his entire surrounding into mochi. Now, the only downside apparently of having the mochi fruit is that the mochi you produce is technically edible, so your opponents could just eat you. Yeah, this fruit is without a doubt in the S tier. Next up, we got the Shadow fruit. In terms of the skills, this fruit has, again, great combo potential. It has a passive that is the Umbra meter that traps your opponents into the shadow and they just cannot escape. Now, let's switch over to One Piece. The Kage no Mi is a paramecia fruit and its current user is former warlord Gecko Maria. So the main ability of Maria is being able to cut off the shadow of other people, making them unconscious, and putting that shadow into a lifeless corpse, turning into a zombie army. And once he places the shadow into a corpse, that corpse now gains all of the abilities of the owner of the shadow. So like we've seen with Ors, he pretty much gained Luffy's personality and abilities. In addition to that, Moria can also control his own shadow at will, letting them battle on his behalf. The downside of this fruit is if the owner of a shadow is much stronger than the user, then they can't really control the shadow. So for example, if one of you guys had the shadow fruit, you wouldn't be able to control my shadow because I'm just like much stronger than all of you. And for that reason, I would give it a B tier. Moving on to the Venom. In terms of the fruit itself, it is one of the most popular fruits. Crazy AoE effects and high damage. It also has a Fury meter, allows you to transform into a Hydra. Now, the Doku no Mi in One Piece, user Magellan, who is the chief warden of Impel Down, has mastered this fruit to absolute perfection. This man is able to generate lethal amounts of poison that will kill anyone upon touch. Magellan can even coat himself in a layer of poison so his opponents can't touch him, making this fruit virtually unstoppable. I mean, that is for the 4 hours out of the day that he's not sitting on the toilet. Because for the other 20, this man's just having straight chronic diarrhea due to the side effects of being poisoned. For that reason alone, I will have to put this in like the high F tier, guys. If you guys want to have 20 hours of diarrhea in exchange of being very strong, that's on you, okay? That ain't for me. Next up, the Control Room. And within the room, you are able to levitate any objects and smash on your opponent's head. Use the Gamma Rush, which is kind of like an ult. The problem with this, though, is you have to use all of the room's abilities within this control area. Otherwise, it will not work. In One Piece, the Control was inspired by the Ope no Mi, which is my personal favorite fruit in the entire One Piece universe. Its current user, of course, is the Surgeon of Death, Trafalgar D. Law. Very smartly uses the fruit's abilities during combat to swap himself out between other objects and people to dodge enemy attacks. He's also able to hit some very high damage attacks, which I'm not sure if it's from the fruit or just his skill, such as the injection shot and the gamma knife. He has mastered it to such a point where he was able to awaken its abilities. But wait, there's even more. What makes this fruit so sought after is because it has the ability to grant immortality to another person at the cost cause of the user's death. Another drawback to the fruit is the operating procedures in the room actually does not work against an enemy whose haki is much stronger than yours. But nonetheless, OP it is, and that's why it lands itself in a high S tier. Probably higher than the dark, honestly. All right, spirit fruit coming up next. We got a devil and an angel on our shoulders. Great for PvPs, not so great for grinding or just NPCs and leveling up. Moving on to One Piece, the Soru Soru no Mi is used by a former Emperor of the Sea, Big Mami. It gives the user the ability to manipulate other people's souls, and then these souls can be planted into inanimate objects such as like a tree or a flower. The craziest part though is if Big Mom gets a hold of you, she can pretty much pull out your soul and take away any amount of your lifespan. The biggest downside of this fruit is the opponent has to be afraid of you for it to work, because if I ain't shook, you ain't taking my soul away. Very versatile fruit. The fact that Big Mom is very powerful, I would say it's like low A tier. Moving on, we have the dragon fruit. When the fury meter fills up, you could also transform into a giant dragon. Look at this fire shower. What the hell? It just takes up the whole map. Now in One Piece, we actually have not seen an official dragon fruit yet, but what we do have is the fish fruit model Azure dragon that is used by Kaido, another former emperor of the sea. Apart from giving the transformed user raw strength, speed, and durability, what sets apart the fish fruit from other mythical Zoans is it comes with the abilities of a mythical dragon. Firing heat blasts out of your mouth, or summoning flame clouds that can lift up entire island. On top of the ability to fly, and of course Kaido being the strongest creature, he has mastered this fruit. Every single skill that he deals is just deadly. Similar to other Zoan fruits, this transformation is just way too big, but when somebody sees a massive dragon the size of an island, they wouldn't want to get close enough to find out if they could hit it anyway. With that reason, it's not really a weakness. I would put this fruit as like a very high S tier. All right, we're actually at our second last fruit, believe it or not. This is a leopard fruit. The fruit itself is a beast type, absolutely overpowered, turns you into a leopard, can just spam M1s and all of its attacks. It's got crazy range, got insanely high damage, and an M1. What else can you ask for? Overall, one of the best fruits in the entire game, in my opinion. However, in the world of One Piece, the Neko no Mi model leopard is just another Zoan. It's not a mythical or an ancient, it's just a leopard, and its current user is of course Rob Lucci of Cypher Pole. The fruit itself though gives pretty standard power-ups, doesn't really give any other cool abilities like a dragon would. The only thing that makes the leopard seem cool in the anime is not because of the fruit itself, but its user Lucci, who is a master of the Rokushiki 6 powers fighting style. So the fruit itself doesn't really stand out in the world of One Piece. I would say it's probably more mobile than the mammoth, but not as strong as a T-Rex. I'll put it like top C tier. This tier list is crazy to look at if you have like no context of what we're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now onto our final fruit, the Kitsune. And of course, the abilities speak for itself. This fruit has many abilities other than its skills just being incredibly strong. It is, I think, one of the fastest fruit in the entire game. Against popular opinion, in the world of One Piece, the Kitsune is actually not based on Yamato's fruit. There is a Kitsune fruit that is currently used by Katarina Devon of the Blackbeard Pirate. However, at this moment, we know next to nothing about this fruit, so let's just talk about Yamato's fruit anyway, which is the Inu no Mi model Okuchi no Makami. I'm only level 1 in Japanese on Duolingo, guys. Give me a break. But pretty much, it is a mythical Zoan, legendary wolf that is said to be the guardian of Wano. It has the ability to generate ice and use it as a form of attack. And at this moment in time, we still don't know much about this fruit or any of its weaknesses. All we know is Yamato is a beast. The fact that it is a mythical Zoan alone and Yamato was able to use it to hold off Kaido for like a little bit, I would put this in like the A tier, maybe right below the Buddha. And with that, our tier list is finally complete. But wait, we still have one more fruit to go through before we finish it off, and that is of course the mythical Kilobird. Easy entry into the God tier. I would put it above the Sun God fruit, and that is our final list. All right, up next, we're moving on to every single sword in Blox fruit. Starting off with the katana, chances are this was your first ever sword in Blox fruit because you could buy this for just 1,000 bellies from the sword dealer at Starter Island. The first move is the Quiet Rush, where you dash over at your opponent, and of course the Air Slash, where you just shoot out like a little blue thing at your opponent. And because it is the most easily obtainable sword in the game, it is easily the weakest sword in the game. The mastery requirements are pretty low, so it's pretty good for grinding in the first sea if you decide to be a sword main. Not gonna lie, the M1 on this is kind of clean. I love the final spin, kneel down, slash attack. All right, now let's talk about the cons. Obviously, the skills are extremely outdated. Even with the revamp, they're not very useful. The damage, incredibly low. Now, let's talk about One Piece. Common katanas appear very often, especially especially in Wano, where pretty much every samurai holds a katana. Unless you own one of the great blades that exists out there, katanas are pretty much useless. As you can see here, demonstrated by Zoro, pretty much bodying every single samurai with it. They don't grant the user any special abilities and not made very durable. They just shatter upon touch, so not good in One Piece or Blox Fruit. So that being said, the katana lands a very comfortable spot in the F category. Yeah, right at the bottom. All right, next up we got the cutlass, which is very much like the katana. You can purchase it for 1,000 belly at the sword dealer. So other than the fact that the cutlass, obviously it does look a little bit different from the katana, the only other difference they share is the M1 combo looks a little bit different. The skills, as you can see, are exactly the same. Very weak damage, so they share pretty much the pros and cons. But in One Piece, there's only one named cutlass in the entire world, and that is held by none other than the former Pirate King Goldie Roger, and its name, Ace. It is of a supreme grade, which is the highest grade possible, and there are only 12 of these swords that exist in the entire world of One Piece. And because of that, this is one of the strongest and best quality swords ever made. And this was made obvious when Roger used it against the entire Rocks crew during the God Valley incident, and this blade has come out unscathed every single time. And of course, we're just referencing One Piece. We're still going to be ranking these swords based on how they are in Blox Fruits. I would have to give the cutlass lower than the katana, just because the M1 is not as good. If I was ranking it based on One Piece though, the cutlass is easy S tier, no question. All right, next up, we have the dual katana. What happens when you get trash and you multiply it by 2? Double trash. The M1 abilities don't look as cool as the katana, in my opinion. And the cool thing is, it is relatively easy to obtain, not a lot of mastery requirements. Tornado. I was about to say, not a lot of range on the tornado. Definitely not useful in PvPs. But the con, again, very weak in terms of damage. And for a sword that is this weak, the cooldowns are insanely long, making it pretty ineffective. All that is to say, other than just grinding for some NPCs in the first sea, you really wouldn't find yourself using the dual katana in any scenario. In terms of One Piece, the most obvious person that uses dual katanas is, of course, our boy Odin, but we're saving him for a sword later on. So let's just pretend these are the two katanas that Zoro owned that Mihawk completely shattered with one slash. Although they were used against the world's strongest swordsman, so it's kind of to be expected, but they literally just shatter like glass. I mean, it was pretty pathetic. Yeah, no, not very good. Let's put it above the dual katana though, slightly better, still in the F category. All right, up next is the Iron Mace. Looks very menacing. Trust me, it really isn't. So very similar to the other 3 swords we talked about. Again, very relatively cheap to obtain. The unique thing about the Iron Mace is it is considered a heavy weapon, so actually at the end of your M1, you do like a ground smash AoE attack. The skills Mace Smash and the Killer Combo. I will say the downside is it is relatively slow. You don't really get any mobility when you're using it. All of these skills are terrible to use while you're in the air. In One Piece, there are of course 2 very well-known characters that hold such mace. Number 1 is of course Mami Alvida. Not this one, the other one. Yeah, there you go. That's the one right there. That's a woman right there. But we're gonna talk about the other mace. You know, the one that's used by one of the former emperors of the sea, strongest creature in the world on land, sea, or air. If it's a one-on-one, Kaido will win. Yeah, that guy. Interestingly enough, his mace actually has a name. It is called the Hasaikai. When given the opportunity, this man used that mace to its absolute fullest. He one-shotted Odin and Gear 4 Luffy with it. So, dope weapon in One Piece. Not so dope in Blox Fruits. Sorry, I think it's still gotta go in the F tier. Or maybe just below the dual katana and above the katana. That's a good place. All right, the triple katana. Yeah, just add one more each time. You know, you ever heard of 4-sword style Zoro? But when you hold it out, obviously, very much like Zoro's 3-sword style. So the M1, decent, similar to the 2-sword style, except you do like a little dash at the end. This is yet another very easy to obtain sword. It costs like 60k over at Snow Island. Still not very expensive. The skills, honestly, look pretty good. And then, of course, instead of a quiet rush, now you rush them violently. My understanding is both of these moves have AoE effect. Problem is, the range on these moves are not so great. It also has a very slow swing speed. Now, of course, talking about the triple katana, the clear candidate is Zoro. Not much to be said other than the 3-sword fighting style being extremely dope. Even just using basic old katana, Zoro make it very in Blox Fruits, I do think the triple katana is a major step up from all these swords that we've seen so far. So I will actually put this in the C tier. Not too bad, honestly. All right, next up, we got the shark sword. So it is another one of the 3 heavy weapons that exist in the game. So this is the first sword in the game that you can't just unlock by purchasing it. You'd actually have to defeat a boss. And that boss is, of course, the Saw. Yeah, there he is. Still relatively low mastery requirements, and honestly, the Saw is not the most difficult boss to kill. That first consecutive slashes is actually a pretty decent combo extender. Execution, absolutely insane. You just spin around in like a bunch of circles. The downside of it is this sword, of course, relatively slow, not very mobile. Your character is just like extremely vulnerable to being attacked by other players if you're using it in PvP. But for grinding, it is pretty good. Like, the swords are pretty long range, and the consecutive slashes is a very good move for grinding. And in the world of One Piece, this sword is actually called the Kiribachi and is used by none other than Arlong. So he uses it like a buzzsaw, you know, not really even like a sword, because in the fight against Luffy, I don't think he really put it to any good use whatsoever. Like right here, Luffy literally just grabs the shark teeth and breaks it with his bare hand. So the shark saw goes in the C tier. I would say slightly below the triple katana right there. That's a good spot. So next up, we got the twin hooks. You actually can't unlock these in the first C, even though it's only a rare category. You have to unlock it all the way over in the third C against Captain Elephant. Insane attack speed, and also the damage is honestly not too bad. It's good for combos. The first move, the Sky Cyclone, has pretty decent hitbox. Prehistoric punt, terrible range. Honestly, guys, not very impressed for how difficult these are to obtain, especially with it taking 300 mastery to unlock all the skills. In the anime One Piece, these twin hooks are of course used by Jack the Drought, one of Kaido's all-stars. Honestly, guys, all we know is Jack has these swords. I don't think we ever even seen him use it. He just took them out to flex on the poor animal people of Zou and didn't really ever use it. So I honestly would put these like below the dual katana right here. Twin hooks in the F category. We're moving back down again. All right, next up, we're looking at the pipe. So this pipe can be easily purchased for 100,000 bellies. Not very difficult to obtain. Honestly, another sword after the revamp got pretty good. Here's the pipe ignition. Look at this thing. So this skill is pretty good. Not only does it deal pretty decent damage, it grants you the ability of mobility. And then you have the X move, the Dragon Blast, which my understanding is you're supposed to be able to hit multiple enemies and has pretty long range. So honestly, pretty effective for farming and PvPs. Although I would say the downside of farming with this weapon is all the skills have knockback, and the M1 speed, like I said, it is relatively slow. And of course, in the anime, the pipe is infamously used by Luffy's brother, Sabo. But yeah, Sabo was seen wielding a pipe as a weapon since he was a child, and obviously that pipe went from a little one up to a pretty big one when he grew up to be an adult. I don't think there's anything special about the pipe. The way he uses it to fight is kind of like a staff. Honestly, not too bad. I will put the pipe right here in the C tier. Next up, we got the dual-headed blade, or, you know, as it's known in Blox Fruits, the headed blade. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the sword because you hold it behind your back like a ninja. The M1 also looks very clean. Look at this thing. The Z move has pretty decent damage, but not a lot of range. The X move, Raging Wind, very quick start, but unfortunately, it doesn't really like stun your enemies, so these skills are not too great for PvPs, but relatively okay for farming in the first C, I would say. Only problem is you can purchase this sword at the Master Sword Dealer for a whopping 400,000 bellies. So is it really worth it compared to the other swords that are like 10 times cheaper? And in One Piece, the dual-headed blade is of course used by the warden Henyalbao of Impel Down. The sword name is called the Kasui, which literally means blood sucker. But he was rarely seen using it in the anime, but it is clear that he is a master at the craft. As you can see here, he was able to use it to briefly fend off Luffy, and spinning it so damn fast that he was able to generate flames from it. But at the end of the day, this is not a very important sword in the anime or in Blox Fruits, but the concept itself is pretty cool. I would put it right below the shark saw in the C tier. All right, next up, we got the warden sword. This one you actually don't purchase and can be unlocked by killing the chief warden over at prison. Look how long these swords are, bro. The M1 slashes are pretty good. It doesn't really dash you forward, and the speed is pretty fast too, so good for auto-clicking and farming with elemental fruits. I would say though, the damage is relatively lower, just like most swords are in the first C. All the skills, I think they can deal damage on multiple targets. Look at that thing. Tornado Slash also is able to hit multiple targets. The bad thing about farming with this sword is it knocks back your enemies. And then also the ranges are not great. Like this multi-target slash, you have to be pretty close to your enemies to hit them. And of course, in the anime, Chief Warden of Impel Down, Magellan, did not even use a sword. So I'm not sure where this inspiration came from. But Queen, one of the all-stars of Kaido's crew, actually did use a blade very similar to this, and he used it against our boy Sanji in like a sneak attack, bro. Sanji ate that up and literally shattered the sword with his head though, so it must have been not that good. honestly, I'll be generous and put it right alongside the dual-headed blade here in the C tier. All right, next up, we got one of the 3 tridents that exist in the game. This, of course, being the weakest one, just the regular old trident. This one you can unlock by killing the Fishman Lord over here in Underwater Island. We got the good old M1, which does a dash at the end, so be sure not to M1 auto-click with this thing. The skills are pretty cool. The trident throw, it pulls your enemies in. Look at that. Similar with the water pulls, it actually also pulls your enemies in towards you and then knocks them back. So honestly, this sword has some decent combo potential. The water pulse also has decent AoE and also breaks instinct. In the anime, this trident was actually seen used by Horty Jones from Fishman Island, although I don't really think he put it to any sort of use. It didn't seem like Horty liked this weapon very much, so neither do we. I really don't recommend getting it in the first C. We'll put it in the C tier. Never mind, I'll put it in the F tier. There's literally no use for this sword whatsoever. All right, next up, we got the Soul Cane. I like the way you hold this sword. This is one of actually the fastest swords in the entire game. M1 is great. It doesn't really pushes your character forward. The Z move is very quick, can break instinct, and also stuns for a very long time. And then the X move, Soul Slashes, is a pretty good combo extender. Of course, in One Piece, the sword is used by none other than our favorite skeleton, Brook, part of the Straw Hat Pirates. The sword's name in the anime is called Soul Solid, and it has been with Brook for over 50 years. So it is said that the extreme cold underworld powers is brought to this sword, which is what allows it to freeze everything in its path, as you can see here, demonstrated by Brook. But what I like the most about this sword is he actually uses it to play his violin. Like, how do you not just cut the strings right off? That makes no sense. Honestly, a solid sword, no pun intended, actually has some potential in PvP and grinding. I think it'll be our first B tier sword on this list. Congratulations. Alright, onto the long sword. So this one you actually get in the second C by defeating this ugly dude over here. The M1 click does not dash you forward, so the Z move Annihilate, it actually breaks instinct, and you plant some grass. The X move Glorious Smash, one of the most sus names ever, actually has an aiming feature to it, which is pretty cool. The problem with this sword is the range is honestly not too great for both of the attacks. You can't hit from very far away. Like for Glorious Smash, how far can I aim? That's the farthest. The damage itself also very low compared to other swords in the rare categories. And in One Piece, a sword very similar to this is wielded by Kyros, a gladiator at the Colosseum in Dressrosa. He is so powerful with it that he's won over 3,000 battles at the Colosseum with this sword. He also absolutely soloed Diamante, which is actually the real diamond boss in One Piece. And now in Blox Fruits, he used this to plant trees. Not great, not bad. I'll actually probably put this under the pipe right above the Shark Saw in the C tier. Now we're moving on to the big dog, the Gravity Cane. I mean, just the fact that this is a rare sword and not a mythical is absolutely criminal. Very high damage, very fast, not only good for PvE, grinding, farming, but insane for PvPs. And it is so easy to use, guys. The Z move is a great combo starter, has a huge hitbox, and will pull your enemies close towards you. Like, look at this. The Lunar Blitz X move is actually great for stunning. Shoots your enemies up in the sky, then drops them onto the ground. In terms of the cons with this sword, honestly, there are not many. I guess the range isn't insanely high. And by the way, yeah, you unlock the sword by killing Fajita boss over here, which I just did. In the anime, of course, this Gravity Cane is used by Fujitora, the Admiral. He uses it with his Gravity Fruit. He is, of course, one of the strongest swordsmen in the entire world, and in large part due to the amazing sword that he uses, which he uses as a walking stick because he is blind. I mean, this guy's just bad. I don't know if this is controversial or not, guys. S tier. First one of the day, well deserved. All right, next up, we got the Jeet. From what I know, though, this sword is actually grants the user pretty decent mobility with the smoke apparition. You can kind of just like teleport like freaking Houdini out here. It's also good at stunning your enemies. And if you ever seen Smoke Admiral use it, this dude right here, who also happens to drop the Jeet, one of the moves actually will just completely blind you altogether, which is pretty cool. Is the X move deals damage from where you stand and also at where you teleport to. Problem is, both moves are a little bit difficult to hit, and then the moves are relatively low damage once again. In the anime, this is called the Nanashaku Jeet, and it's used by Smoker, another walking L next to Jack. Now, this thing he uses in battle sometimes, but again, not to great effect, and it's not very durable, honestly, because if I had $1 for every time the Jeet broke in Smoker's hands, I would have $2, because it broke twice. One cool fact about the Jeet, though, is the tip of it is actually made out of sea stone, so once it touches a devil fruit user, it is able to easily subdue them. That's how he was was able to take out Luffy. Yeah, we're dropping this once again in the C tier. I think this will be a decent spot for it right there. Up next, we got the Dragon Trident. This sword is an absolute beast. The skills are very good for PvP. It deals very high damage. The Sea Dragon Fury has insane AoE and is very easy to hit. Look how far it knocks the enemy back too. The range is also pretty decent on this thing. It is able to hit the enemy from pretty far away. The Water Dragon Shower, the X move, has the largest AoE effect out of every single sword in the entire game. Just overall amazing AoE and very big hitbox compared to other swords. So if you're new to PvPs that don't have great aim, this is your sword of choice. In the anime, however, I really don't know anybody that uses anything similar to the Dragon Trident, maybe except for Neptune, but then again, it doesn't really resemble the Dragon Trident, so solid sword. If only it was good for PvEs, I would put it in the A tier, but for now, we'll put it in the high Bs. All right, on to another big dog. We got the Saber. Look like a plain old sword, but it is one of the most difficult to unlock in the first C. You have to go through the entire Saber puzzle. This sword is insanely good for something that you can unlock in the first C. And when you get to either 1 million bounty or honor with it and kill a player, you will awaken the Saber V2. M1, honestly, pretty slow, but that's okay because it is easily made up for by its insanely high damage. The Z move, Deadly Rush, if you're able to hit every single move with it, it does the highest damage out of any other sword skill in the entire game. And the Triple Slash has pretty decent AoE. Honestly, this thing is absolutely insane for PvP, which makes perfect sense because in the anime, this is called the Griffin and is used by none other than Red Hair Shanks. That dude faced off just countless opponents with it with only one arm. And spoiler alert, this just dropped in the anime. This dude one-shot a kid with it. Like, come on. Saber easily goes into top of the A tier in terms of swords. Let's move back on to the not so great swords. Next up, we got the pole. This sword can be obtained at a very low chance from defeating the Thunder God over there. M1, relatively slow, and it is not really made up for by its skills. The X move, Lightning Ring, it does have relatively decent stun, but it is pretty slow to cast. So One Piece, this staff is called the Nonosama Bow, which is used by Neru, one of the most fearsome monsters in the One Piece universe. So honestly, he only carries around the staff kind of just as a flex to kill people with it that he thinks are not worthy to be killed by his lightning powers. Honestly, if that's not the hardest flex I ever heard in my life, I don't know what is. We'll put this in like the C tier. Honestly, I don't really see much use for it. Now, Pole V2 is a completely different story. So this sword is pretty difficult to obtain. Overall, I think you need 180 plus mastery on the Pole V1 plus a fully awakened Rumble Fruit plus completing the Rumble raid with the pole equipped. But honestly, it's pretty worth it. The M1 is like whatever, and in PvEs, it's not very great. But where the pole really shines is of course during PvPs. Both of these moves, X move, Hand of God, as well as the Electric Prison, very high stun moves, also with good AoE. So this sword is pretty much good with any PvP build that you can think of. We'll go ahead and rank it. I would say it is not quite like an A ranking sword. I would probably put this in the high Bs right there. Woo! I don't know why I'm hyping it up because this sword is not even that good. We got the Basento. Yeah, there it is. So this one's actually super expensive. Definitely the most expensive sword in the first C that you can purchase. 1 million bellies to unlock this. That is for the V1. For V2, you gotta use it to defeat Greybeard. Pretty difficult to obtain. I would say it is one of the strongest bosses. Honestly, the sword itself, M1 wise, relatively slow. The Z move, Windbreaker, has decent range and can be used to knock back your opponents. The V2, Quake Sphere, can be used to break Instinct. Range is honestly not too bad either. But guys, the moves are all like ground-based, relatively slow to attack your opponents with. On the other hand, in One Piece, this is called the Murakomogiri. I don't know. And it is again one of the 12 supreme grade swords in the entire world, owned by none other than the homie Whitebeard. I've been playing Blox for way too long. It is one of the only 3 supreme grade swords ever shown in the world of One Piece, so you know this thing is hella rare. Whitebeards have used it for many decades to fight against extremely powerful opponents, such as Odin. The dude was holding the Ame no Ahabakiri and the Emma, which were used to eventually scar Kaido. And Whitebeard fended him off like it was nothing. Obviously, it would be a tier S in One Piece, but we're talking about Blox fruits, and it's really not that great. Bottom of the B tier. Now, moving on to the 3 legendary swords, starting with the Wando. So this sword, relatively speaking, for the second C, has pretty decent damage. So you can unlock the sword, of course, from the legendary sword dealers that randomly spawn around the second C. 3, and there's only a 1 out of 3 chance of getting it because the other chances are left to the other 2 legendary swords. So the Z move, continuous slashing, has a very long stun. Look at this. If you trap your opponent in this, it is over. And now, of course, we got the Dragon Gust, which has pretty decent range. And in One Piece, this is, of course, the Wado Ichimonji used by none other than Zoro himself. This was given to him by his teacher back in Shimatsuki village, where he used to live and train as a swordsman. I am going to go ahead and put the Wando over here on the top of the B tier. The next one is the Sadi. Very similar to the Wando, it is a very powerful sword, very high damage and good combo potential. The Z move Sword Dance not only is a mobility move, it can grab your targets regardless of whether they have instinct or not. It does not miss. And the True Air Slash has a very long range, very useful. Oh my god, honestly, the sword is nasty. Once again, guys, not really much downside to these swords. They're just very decent. Now, the Sadi's counterpart of One Piece is the Sendai Kitetsu, which is also used by Zoro. So this is another name sword. It's just not a great grade or supreme grade, and it also has a reputation of being completely cursed. It is said whoever wields it will just have terrible things happen to them. But this is another sword that has been with Zoro for a very long time. Ever since Loketown, he's fought countless battles with it, and it's withstood the test of time. So I personally like the Sadi a little more than the Wando, so I'm gonna put it above right there. There you go. Last but not least, we have my favorite out of the 3, the Shisui. So it has the same M1 as all the other swords. Very good damage. We got the True Quiet Rush, the Z move. Look at that pose, man. Thunder breathing first form right there. And then you got the Focus Shot, which has like longest range out of all 3 swords. Look at that thing. It's a freaking sniper rifle, and it's incredibly fast, so it's very difficult to dodge. Now, this sword was previously owned by Zoro, but before that, it was owned by Ryuma, legendary dragon slayer from Wano. Another one of the 21 Great Gray Swords, and it is known as the Dark Blade. Not to be confused with the Yoru, but I think it's just a black sword. Put the Shisui above all the rest. Move aside. There it is. Next up, we got the Midnight Blade. I don't know what this sword is based off of. It literally looks like a transformer. Look at this thing. You could purchase this for like 100 ectoplasm over here at the haunted ship. It's got pretty high damage. It has good stuns as well as mobility. So the Z move has a very good hitbox. Should never be able to miss this shot, and it looks sick. And the X move, the Crescent Dash, not only is very strong, but is good for mobility as well. Oh, by the way, both these skills can hit multiple enemies, so I can't draw any comparisons to One Piece though, because I have no idea what this is. If you do, please let me know. But I would put the Midnight Blade honestly pretty high up, maybe like just below the Shisui. Sorry to separate the legendary swords, but gotta be honest. Moving on to the Koko. So the M1 on this one is very fast, but you do dash forward at the end, which bad for farming, of course. And you obtain this sword by killing the Order raid boss. Pretty difficult to obtain. The Z move could be a mobility move, the Electric Stab, and it has pretty decent knockback. Although it is like a single target dash attack, I do think the hitbox is relatively big, so like if I were to aim here, still hit him. The injection shot though has like a ridiculous range. Kind of like aim at your opponent too with it. Get murked! So in the anime, this sword is called the Kikoku and is used by Law, former warlord of the sea. This dude Law is a menace. He literally uses sword as a friggin' operating knife on people. This guy will be dissecting people with it. It's pretty gruesome and brutal. Honestly, I would say to use the Koko to its full effect, you would have to use the control fruits. So I would not recommend it. I'll probably put this in the C tier, man. Set your heart ablaze! Alright, I'm really excited to talk about this one. The Rengoku. A very difficult sword to obtain because you would have to kill this guy over there to get a hidden key for very small chance. The Z move dashes very fast at your opponents. Yeah, my bad. Don't forget you saw that. We'll cut that part out. So yeah, you dash extremely fast, deals amazing damage, and also damage over time as it burns your opponents and lights them up on fire. And then you got the Z move, the Burning Slash, literally setting your heart ablaze. When you hold it, look at this. It breaks instinct upon impact, guys. And the AoE is relatively big when you hold it. Again, deals burn damage over time. Look at that! 7,000! Now, we gotta switch animes a bit because this sword is actually not even from One Piece. It is obviously inspired by the sword of Rengoku, the demon slayer Hashira, who uses the flame-breathing technique, hence the fire theme to the Rengoku. This sword is so legendary that they brought it from a complete different anime into Blox Fruits. We're gonna put the Rengoku above the Saber at the top of the A tier for now. Moving on, we have the Cavender, another fence fencing sword. As you can see, when you're holding it, you got your other arm in the back. The M1, again, use it as if you were fencing. It is a pretty high damage. Both moves are actually mobility moves. You got the piercing dash as well as the scattering dust. But the downside of it being, you know, both moves being dashing moves, it's really hard to PvE and even PvP with it. You can't really chain two combos together. So the Cavender is obviously dropped by defeating the beautiful pirate over in the third sea. In the anime, this sword is called the Durandal, which is owned by Cavendish, or as Luffy calls him, Cabbage. It is one of the named swords. We just don't know what grade it is, and apparently it is made of very flexible material. It will never shatter on impact. Honestly, not bad, but not great either. This definitely belongs in the B tier. Alright, moving on. Even more legendary than the Wando, Sadi, and Shisui are the next two legendary swords. Starting with the Tashida. At first glance, it looks just like the Rengoku for some reason. This sword can be unlocked from the extremely difficult Tashida puzzle. I'm not gonna elaborate, but just know that it's not very easy to obtain. This is one of the best swords in the game because of its great combo potential, extremely high damage, which makes it good for PvPs and raids. So the Heavenly Lunges, the first move, can stun your enemy for an extremely long time if they don't dodge it, and has high knockback, good AoE. And the Celestial Ravager not only has great range, it is also a mobility move. Look at this thing. That is the X that Oden put on Kaido's chest, isn't it? But of course, be sure to not miss the Heavenly Lunges, because if you do, it puts yourself in a very vulnerable position for your opponent to attack you. So in the anime, this is called the Ame no Habakiri, one of the two legendary swords owned by Oden, and is again one of the 21 great gray swords. Obviously, its abilities speak for itself with all the countless strong opponents that Oden has fought against. And to this day, the Ame no Habakiri and the Emma are the only two swords that was ever able to damage or injure Kaido. Overall, an amazing sword. I don't think I would put it above the Rengoku or the Saber. I'm gonna put it below the Saber. So the second half of the two legendary swords is the Yama. So the M1 is pretty much the same as the Tashida. The Hellish Slash and the Infernal Hurricane are both mobility moves. Very long range on the Hellish Slash, by the way. Infernal Hurricane also allows you to travel pretty far. Very good weapon for running away. And both of these skills are AoE attack. Now, the Emma has a very long history, of course. It was originally used by Oden, two sword style. He had both the Ame no Habakiri and the Emma. And later, somehow Zoro got his filthy hands on it and just completely went to town. It is one of the 21 great swords and is known to draw out the user's armament haki. It sucked out all of Zoro's blood in his arm. Like, look at this stick. This dude Zoro was able to use the Emma to once again deal damage to Kaido and bring back decades of nightmares for that man. I will put it alongside the Tashida, but I honestly don't know which one is better. Maybe just because I like the Yama a little more. There it goes. Alright, we got the Buddy Sword up next. This is one of the only swords in the game that has a face. So this one is obtained by killing Big Mommy in the back right there. Pretty good for grinding. You know, no M1 dash on the final move. In terms of skill, these skills are extremely fast, virtually undodgeable. The Z move has a pretty decent hitbox and insanely high damage output. You once again set your opponent to flames. Oh my god, yo, I was doing the showcase, not you. But yeah, the next move was gonna be the lightning wave. You just gotta aim it very well. Pew! Now, as you're holding this move, it allows you to heal faster. Look at that. Look, I'm healing. Faster than normal, at least. And it breaks instinct. What a sick skill to have. So in the anime, this sword is actually a hat, and it is owned by Big Mom. The reason why it has a face and is alive is because Big Mom used her soul powers to turn it into one of her homies. So this thing can even attack on its own, which is so damn scary, man. So we're gonna put the Buddy Sword actually in between the Sadi and the Wando. Like I said, crazy range, pretty good for combos. I think this is justified. Spiky Trident. This is objectively one of the best weapons in the game. So the way you unlock the Spiky Trident is by defeating Katakuri. This weapon has great damage, very good for combos. Alright, first move, the Do Hurricane. Locks the enemy in place, a great stun effect, very good mobility as well. Flying Trident also pulls your enemy closer towards you, which is great for extending combos. But the cool thing about it is, not only does it pull enemies close to you, it can also pull you to different locations as well. Look at that. So this Trident in the anime One Piece is called the Mogura, which is used by Katakuri, the sweet commander of the Big Mom pirates. But in terms of his Trident, though, I think the only damage that he dealt with it is against himself. This dude literally stabbed himself in the stomach just to make the fight more fair for Luffy. What a boss. Spiky Trident is an easy entry into the A tier. Up next, we got the Dark Dagger. This thing is impossibly difficult to unlock. I got it on my first try, you know, quick little flex. So you get it with a very small chance after defeating King Indra in here. Honestly, it's not bad, other than the fact that it's tiny as hell. It's got a Z move, the Proficient Impale that breaks Instinct. And then the Shaming Slash actually stuns your opponent for a decent amount of time right there. They can't move. But honestly, just like this sword is difficult to spot, these moves are relatively more difficult to hit. Don't even get me started on its counterpart in the anime. Obviously, this is the sword that Mihawk wears around his neck, which he used to absolutely embarrass the living out of Zoro. One of the moments in One Piece that literally scarred me for life. If Zoro doesn't kill this man by the end of this anime, he will never live that moment down. I'll put this in the bottom of the A tier right there. All right, Shark Anchor. So I've been told this sword has very high damage, really good combo potential, AoE on all of its attacks, and good stun abilities. So the way you obtain the Shark Anchor is by killing a Terror Shark with an anchor attached to it. But in order to find that, you would need to craft a monster magnet first, and that's a whole ordeal on its own. So we got first the Typhoon Toss, large AoE and long range. Oh my god, I forgot how good this looks. And apparently the explosion at the end breaks Instinct. And then the Armor Breaker is good mobility and also breaks Instinct. I mean, all around, this sword is just nasty. If there's one bad thing I could say about this sword, the M1 is atrocious. You would not be able to tell the animation was just from a couple of months ago. And look at the last one, dude. It looks so bad. Shark Anchor, once again, does not exist in the anime One Piece. This is a crazy sword, man. I gotta do it, guys. I love the Rengoku. I gotta be fair. That's why you guys subscribe to this channel, right? You subscribe to the channel? We got the Fox Lamb next. This thing is also very impossible to obtain because you get it at the Kitsune Shrine. You probably have to do 20 of those before you can get your hands on this, but it is incredible, bro. Look how fast the M1 is, and there's no dash at the end. The Scorching Azure has a very long range and good stun abilities. Also, it just looks beautiful. This Infernal Firestorm, everything's just good about it. Decent range, good AoE, hits multiple enemies, amazing damage, also has mobility. Both of these attacks break Instinct, by the way. So yeah, top tier for PvPs, top tier for PvEs. This thing is definitely going into the S tier though. We're putting this above the Gravity King. We have a new entry for the best sword in the game. We got the True Triple Katana. We got the Wando in the left hand. We got the Sadi in the right hand. We got the Shusui in the mouth. And what's bad about this sword? Absolutely nothing. What's great about it? Everything. So yeah, the M1 is relatively fast. Wolfang Rush has decent mobility. It is a good combo starter. The Dragon Hurricane has one of the biggest hitboxes among all the swords. Absolutely devastating and can pretty much disrupt any combo. Now, we already talked about each of the legendary swords individually, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail. But as you all know, Zoro uses the 3-sword style, and these are the 3 current swords that he holds. No bias, straight to the S tier. Don't even at me in the comments. I'm not trying to hear it. All right, the Hollow Sight. This sword can be obtained from killing the Reaper boss. The M1 on this is extremely fast and you do not dash forward. This is my best sword to auto-click with. So the Z move has a very large hitbox. Oh my gosh. Boom, look at that. You don't really have to aim and you can hit multiple targets at the same time, which is amazing. And the Soul Execution has great mobility and is amazing for breaking Instinct. Because of that, this move is very good for not just farming, but also combos as well. So I don't really know many characters in One Piece that uses a scythe except for Caribou, this swamp booger dude, and I don't really feel like talking about him, so we're just gonna move on. Hollow Scythe, another lock for the S tier, right above the Soul King under the Fox Lamb. Alright guys, we're finally about to talk about the CDK, Cursed Dual Katana, probably the most popular swords in the game, and for very good reason. So once you unlock the Toshida and the Yama, you have to go through 6 excruciatingly difficult trials in order to get these swords, and let me just tell you, it is 100% worth it. Insanely fast M1 that does not dash forward, so you can auto-click with it. Farming with this thing is just mwah, chef's kisses. These swords are great for almost any build. So this move, if you hold it near your opponent, it can stun them for a very long time, put them in a tornado, and yeet them very far away. And the Slayer of Goliath, I mean, these are the exact same moves that injured Kaido, so what can I say? Very long range when held and amazing mobility. Literally everything that you can ask for in a pair of beautiful swords. And in the anime, we already talked about it. The Ami no Habakiri and the Emma are Odin's swords. He uses a 2-sword style to defeat literally everybody in his path. Maybe except Roger. He got bodied by Roger. Straight to the SA. I love the True Triple Katana, but come on, man. It's just, there's no debate right there. All right, the Dark Blade. So the way to unlock the Yoru, there's no way around it. You gotta be rich. It costs Robux. Because it is a game pass. The M1 is, of course, unique to the Yoru itself. It does dash forward like a little bit, but it is pretty fast, honestly. 1000 slices is able to stun the enemy for a little bit, like a split second, and has decent range. And then we got the Dark Air Slash, which has two versions. You can either just throw it out, but if you hold it down like this and then launch it, it goes even faster. Very high damage. So all in all, pretty good sword if you're willing to pay to win. I mean, to getting it in the first sea will make you completely overpowered. And of course, the Yoru is currently in the possession of none other than the world's greatest swordsman, Dracula Mihawk. One of the 12 supreme great swords in the hands of the greatest swordsman. This man can be seen easily dicing up ships with one swing of an arm with the Yoru and completely destroys every single sword fighting opponent that he's ever faced against. So if we were talking about One Piece, I would make a brand new god tier just to put this Yoru in. But since we're talking about Blox Fruits, it is actually not the best sword in the game. I would have to put this right below the Rengoku. It's definitely A tier, but it is not goated. All right, finally, ladies and gentlemen, the last sword on our list, the True Triple Dark Blade. Easily the most difficult sword to obtain in the game. I've been trying for like 3 years. Still no luck. You must be selected by the Blox Fruits owners to have the honor of wielding such powerful swords. I am simply not worthy. The skills are pretty much the same as the Dark Blade, but it does have the highest M1 click damage and the skills just 3 times more. And of course, combined with the OP Fun admin command, the damage is just infinite. Just look at this noob get bullied right here. How about instead of 1000 slices, we get 3000 slices. It's everything the Dark Blade is except 3 times more. Now, just picture this, everybody. Just imagine Mihawk going 3 sword style, holding 3 Yorus. That would be the end of the world as we know it. Just off the flex alone, the Dark Blade goes to the top of the S tier. If we're really being objective, I would say the CDK is still better, but come on, guys. It's the TTY. You gotta give it to it. All right, up next, we'll be ranking every single fighting style. So the first fighting style we're looking at is gonna be Dark Step, which if you didn't know, it's based off Sanji's Black Leg fighting style in One Piece, which is in turn based off his teacher Zeph's Red Leg fighting style. Pretty complicated. Fun fact, the nickname Red Leg is from when Zeph's legs are literally coated in his opponent's blood after fighting them. Pretty scary. What's not so scary is Dark Step, which is probably the easiest fighting style to obtain in the entire game. You unlock it here in Pirate Village, right over here if you jump over this wall from the Dark Step teacher. So I've already learned this fighting style, but if you haven't already, to obtain it, all you need to do is spend a measly 150,000 bellies, which I'm extremely wealthy, so that means nothing to me. I burn 150k just for fun. So as the name suggests, you're only allowed to fight by kicking your legs, all right? You don't use your hands because those are meant for cooking. And you know I'm always on chef mode, baby. So we got our first skill, the flying kick, and you can actually aim this at your opponent when you do hit him. Boom! The second skill is called the breakdance, which is the party table kick horse. And the third skill, which is the barrage. And finally, the last skill, overheat. You spin around until your leg sets on fire. You know, great physics lesson for you kids. So a couple of good things about this fighting style is obviously it is the easiest one to obtain, so it's good for grinding in the first sea with. All of the attacks does AoE damage, so let's say I don't hit my target exactly and land over here, I still kill him. Another benefit of the Dark Step fighting style is, you know, the abilities are relatively easy to unlock, up to only 150 mastery to unlock all of your skills. Relatively speaking, Dark Step is decent for farming in the first sea. Definitely do not recommend for PvPs. And once you get to the second and third sea, you're gonna find other fighting styles that are even better for farming too. So unfortunately, starting off on the wrong foot here. So see what I did? Dark Step, wrong foot. Yeah, you get it. It's gonna have to land itself in the bad category, our first entry. Okay, we're gonna move on chronologically here. So the next available fighting style that we can unlock is the electric fighting style, which can be purchased here on Sky Island. If you don't know where it is, let me show you. You're gonna wanna ignore those stairways to heaven and run straight through the clouds to the back here. There's gonna be an island, and hiding right here is the mad scientist. It's a cat human. It's Kit. It's Kit Gaming. So if you didn't already have the electric fighting fighting style. It will cost you 500k to purchase. Again, that's chump change for your boy, you already know. And voila, there it is. So definitely much more expensive than the dark step already in terms of obtainment. And that's what it looks like. You get these electric shockwaves sent throughout your fists with a pretty menacing pose, I'll be honest. The electric fighting style is based off of the main tribe over at Zoe, made very famous by our homegirl Carrot, you know what I'm saying? All right, here's the M1. The M1 punching speed, it's relatively fast. I would say on par with the dark step fighting style. Not much difference here. The first move is Stomp. You know, it jumps up in the air and boom, lands on your... Let's try that again. Boom! Lands on your opponent. Looks sick, bro. But it does have a very long startup and not very effective in PvPs because it will be very hard to aim as long as your opponents are moving. Electric Tackle gives you pretty good mobility. You know, you can move forward with it. And finally, the Electric Floor. It does extremely high tick damage. It lasts for a very long time. I think one of the skills that does the highest damage in the V1 fighting styles. And I think overall, all of these skills are just very good for combos and stunts, at least, you know, again, for V1. So for the Electric fighting style, Z move costs 50 mastery, X is 100, and C move is 200. Not too difficult to get all of them, I would say. So one fun fact about the electric fighting style too is you cannot damage rubber users. Okay, so if you see somebody using a rubber, run as far away as possible. So while I would say the electric fighting style is a bit better than dark step, it is still not meh enough yet. So it's gonna have to be bad, but just slightly above dark step. We're gonna move it up right there. Boom. All right, moving on. We got the water kung fu. This can be obtained in Underwater City. Now, this one's a little bit more hidden, so if you're just starting off the game, you might not know where it is. You're gonna wanna run back to this side. You see how this part of the wall is a bit different colored? You would assume you could walk through here, but no. You'd have to go through here. So his name is very creatively named Water Kung Fu Teacher. And this fighting style can be purchased for a whopping 750,000 berries. I would say, as rich as I am, that is a little bit pricey. So Water Kung Fu is a very special fighting style in One Piece used exclusively by the fishmen in Fishman Island. So right off the bat, I would say the pose, it's not as cool as the Electric Claw or the Dark Step. I'ma just say it. It doesn't look as cool. But the M1 is so fast. M1 damage is alright, but like I said, because of how fast it is probably the best fighting style you can unlock in the first seed. Great for grinding. Doesn't have a lot of knockback, so if you do have like a Logia or the Buddha fruit, you're pretty much coasting throughout the rest of the first seed. So in order to unlock all the skills, Z move you need 70 mastery, X move you need 130, and the C move 250. All the moves that does do AoE damage as well as have decent range: Steam Charge Fist, Deadly Shower, Heavy Water Punch. Visually, definitely does not look good as the other two. All right, skill-wise, M1-wise, and pose-wise. But it is just so effective. And a Deadly Shower X move is apparently one of the longest range in the entire game. Look at this. Deadly Shower! Oh my god, yeah, this range is insane. And then the Heavy Water Punch is pretty good. It does have like a mobility effect to it. Helps you travel a small distance. So those are the pros, but what are the cons? I would say it is definitely pretty pricey. For reference, 750k. You can buy Instinct with that much money. And it is still not great for PvPs, just like all of the V1 fighting styles. Z move can be pretty hard to hit in PvPs. It does have like a small leg at the end of it too. And of course, the X move, although the range is good, you do need to aim well with it. I mean, if you miss, you're pretty much screwed. Like me, I just missed. Yeah, don't miss, guys. So although it is very good, I hesitate to put in the good category just because of the V2 fighting styles that are coming up. So we're gonna have to put this into the meh category. Definitely much better than the electric and dark step. So that takes us to the end of the first seed. These are the only 3 fighting styles you can get here. If you want more, you're gonna have to head on over to the second seed. Ikuzo! Ah, yes, the second seed. No longer breathing that noob first seed air. So the first fighting style you can get in the second seed actually happens to be Kingdom of Roses right here. If you would just follow me, I will show you. It is the Dragon Breath fighting style. So right here up one of these columns, you're gonna have to talk to Sabo from Wish. Sabi. Now, if you talk to Sabi, he will sell you the Dragon Breath fighting style for a very measly 1,500 fragments. So in terms of obtainment, I would say it's pretty easy. Definitely cheaper than Water Kung Fu. But pose-wise, it's definitely on par with the Water Kung Fu. It doesn't look very good. And the M1 is so slow, dude. And of course, Dragon Breath is based off of the Dragon Claw fighting style in One Piece that's used by the Revolutionary Army, specifically Sabo. So fun fact about the Dragon Breath, when you do unlock it, you get a special title called Dragonborn. So a little reference to Skyrim, one of my favorite games. M1 Punch does deal pretty high damage though, I will say that. Like, that is very good. So this skill has great hitbox, and all the moves allow you to attack multiple enemies at once. Right there. But on the downside, the speed is pretty slow to execute. Second skill, we got Dragon Flame. So it does like a decent amount of knockback. Actually pretty good for starting combos. So we're getting into the PvP category now with these fighting styles. Finally, we got the Dragon Explosion. Very large hitbox. You can pretty much hit everything. Very cool looking skill as well. The downside of it is the cooldown is insanely long and also very, very slow to activate. So in order to unlock all the skills here, Z move 100 mastery, X move 200, and C move 300. Holy smokes. But at least you're in the second C, so the NPCs does give a little more mastery when you're grinding. It does look better than the Water Kung Fu, but I would say it still has to come in just below in the meh category once again. If you were just starting off on Blox Fruits looking at this list, you would think all the fighting styles are trash so far. Things are getting a little bit interesting now. The next fighting style we can unlock is gonna be Superhuman. Sounds pretty insane, and it is pretty good. So the God Human fighting style is very loosely based off of the Rokushiki in One Piece, which is used by the world government agents. Rob Lucci, if you haven't heard of him. But yeah, if you come to Snow Island here, there's a secret door. So once you walk into the secret door, there's another secret door. Now, here's the tricky part. In terms of obtainment, you cannot just straight up buy the Superhuman fighting style. You're gonna need over 300 mastery on every fighting style that we've looked at so far. Now, if that is not some tedious grind, I don't know what is. So once you meet the mastery requirement, you're still gonna have to pay for it. It costs 3 million berries. Yeah, pretty steep. Better empty out your pockets. And there it is, Superhuman. I'm not feeling very super. Hang on. Yeah, now I feel like a superhuman. Levitate! Pose is decent, you know, it's nothing crazy. Same with the M1. Definitely seen better animations. And in order to unlock all the mastery, it's getting real tough now. 110 for Z, 220 for X, and 330 for C. But let's look at the pros, okay? This fighting style overall has very high combo potential. So you can finally start PvPing now once you obtain the Superhuman. And if you're a runner like me, the Z as well as the C moves can be chained together, you know, to travel very far distances to get you out of trouble. But not just mobility. The Z move has a very long stun. Like if you hit your enemy, you know, it can stun them for quite a bit of time. On the other hand, it does lock you in place, right? So if you're getting third party by somebody, you're pretty much cooked. Now, in terms of the X move, Thunderclap, I don't know what we're thunderclapping, but I don't want to find out. It has pretty good AoE, and you can hold it down, makes you look super menacing. Look at this. It looks like I'm taking a massive dump. Boom! And it does break instinct, which is pretty cool. And of course, the C move, Conqueror Gun. Boom! Now, what are the bad things about this fighting style? Obviously, it is very difficult to obtain, extremely grindy and expensive, so you gotta convince yourself whether or not it's worth it. So in order to use it and get good at it in PvPs, you would need to have pretty good aim, and also the Z move and C moves are single target only, so you can't hit multiple enemies. Not very good for farming NPCs, I would say. But because of how just lethal it is for PvPs, and some of the max level pros still use this fighting style to this day to bounty hunt, I would say going through all the effort to unlocking it is definitely worth it, and it is actually gonna be our first entry in the good category. Let's go. All right, next up we got the Death Step fighting style. So if you didn't know, this is the V2 version of the Dark Step. So finally moving into the V2 category. In terms of obtainment, to unlock the Death Step, you're gonna need to fight this dude right here, Awakened Ice Hammer. Oh god! And once you kill him, you're gonna end up with a library key that's like this one, which is gonna give you access to this door right here. I mean, I've already opened it because I am a pro, as you guys already know. But this is not enough. You're also gonna need 400 mastery on your Dark Step fighting style, as well as 2.5 million berries and 5,000 frag... Even my mic almost got sent to heaven after hearing these prices. 5,000 fragments. Yeah, that's right. So very much unlike the V1 version, Death Step, this one is great for PvPs, has very high combo potential because of how fast the skills are and the long range. Although it's pricey, it is definitely still the easiest V2 fighting style to obtain. So looking at the mastery here, definitely we're into some deep categories now. So Z move 100, X move 200, C move 300, and maximum overheat is 400 400 mastery. That is just insane. So looking at the first skill, Rocket Kick, you no longer have this thing where you have to aim. You just launch yourself directly at your opponent. And it is very fast. Look how fast that is. So Wind Bullet, the X move is very good as well. It has insane range. I'm not sure if I like this post. Looking very zesty. And of course, finally, the Vermilion Drill. Amazing stun ability. Looks absolutely gorgeous. You can just spin there. Very hard to hit in PvPs. At least for me, I don't know about y'all, but I almost never land this for combos. Finally, the last skill, Maximum Overheat. Very similar to the V skill in the Dark Step, except it gives you a way better boost. And it doesn't have a spinning animation, so you don't get caught up, you know, in an animation that puts you in a vulnerable position. Significantly boosts your damage. And once you do it with the C move, it's just gorgeous. It's like fireworks. You just light your opponents up. So not amazing for farming, but definitely very good PvP potential. I've seen many PvP pros still using the Death Step fighting style. Still being relatively easy to obtain if you got the patience to get 400 mastery on the Dark Step. I would definitely put this in the good category. Maybe like just under superhuman. Yeah, that's a good spot. All right, so up next is the Electric Claw, which is the V2 of the electric fighting style. This one's very interesting because you unlock it in the 3rd C instead of the 2nd C. For some reason, this one came out after Sharkman Karate. But yeah, pretty much near turtle entrance, you're gonna come up to this dude named Previous Hero. And before talking to him, you're gonna need 400 mastery on the electric fighting style. And he will give you a quest where you pretty much just have to go to Turtle Mansion in 30 seconds. And the Electric Claw, it does cost a little bit more. So it's gonna be 3 million berries and also 5,000 fragments. So let's take a look at the skills down here. The Electric Rampage, 110 mastery. The X skill, Lightning Thrust, 210. And Thunder Clap and Flash, 330 mastery. Thunder Breathing. First form. M1 does pretty decent damage, I would say. The skills look very cool with the electricity theme, you know? Electric Rampage. Why did I miss again, dude? There we go. This skill is very good. When you hold it down, it stuns the enemy for a very long duration of time, but it's very difficult to land, as you saw earlier. The X move, Lightning Thrust, on the other hand, is much easier to land. You can almost never miss with this thing, and has insanely high damage as well as mobility. And that is a very good thing about this fighting style. Just overall, there's a lot of mobility moves. The C move, Thunder Breathing First Form, Thunder Clap and Flash. It's also very easy to land. I believe it also has like an auto aim feature to it. Let's give it a try here. Yeah, look, I'm not even aiming at him and it attacks the enemy right there. Now, let's talk about some of the bad things of this fighting style. I would say the first thing is, of course, 3rd C obtainment is not very ideal. You can't really get it till you hit level 1500. End the game. Another problem is with auto-clicking. If you're trying to auto-click for mastery, you're gonna have to set your auto-click timer to low because every single time you attack, you move forward. So you just can't stand still and auto-click. And finally, the mastery requirements are pretty high. It is pretty much on par with superhuman. So I would say the Electric Claw, in terms of PvE, it's not going to be your first choice just because of how far it moves your character forward every time you attack. The skills having knockback abilities and all that stuff. But for PvPs, insane combo potential. I mean, I think some of the combos are literally just using 3 skills of the fighting style and you can pull up some crazy damage. It is a little more difficult to obtain though, like I was saying, but definitely worth it if you ever have the chance to give it a try. I still wouldn't put this above the superhuman, but definitely slightly above Death Step, just right over there and good. Let me know if you agree with the assessment so far. I could just be talking out of my Let's move on to Sharkman Karate. So obviously Sharkman Karate is the V2 version of Water Kung Fu, and that's why, you guessed it, you're gonna need to get 400 mastery on the V1 fighting style. But very similar to Death Step, you need a very special key in order to obtain it, and that is obtained from this dude right here, Tidekeeper. Boom boom pow. So yeah, there it is, this little thing right here, the water key. Once we've obtained the water key, we're gonna want to give it to the homie Dagrock right here, Dagrock the Sharkman. Water gang for life. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you're gonna have to spend 3 million berries and 5,000 fragments, and boom, there it is, the Sharkman Karate fighting style, baby. Ooh, look at the water effect. Looking at the skills here, 100 mastery for 12 water palms, 200 for pressure vortex, and 300 for great sea spear. So a little bit easier to unlock all the mastery compared to the electric claw, as you can see. So right off the bat, the Sharkman Karate is much better than the already amazing Water Kung Fu fighting style. It's got high combo potential. The skills are very fast and pretty easy to hit, all with AoE effect, so it's easy to land your combos. So all that being said, great for PvPs and great for farming with the Buddha especially. So the Z move has a very big hitbox and you know, has a low cooldown. It also allows you to travel. So I could like maybe aim right here and still hit the enemy. Very good. And moving on to the X move, also has pretty decent range. Easy to hit with a big hitbox. Boom, right there. The C move is great. As I'm about to demonstrate on 3 NPCs here, you could grab multiple targets at once, get them close to you, and yeet! Very high knockback. That could be a pro or a con with this skill. My only criticism with it would be some of these skills does have some insanely high knockback. So if you're trying to just farm for levels, grind NPCs, just stick with the M1. Maybe not use the skills very much. This is about to get really controversial, all right? Sharkman Karate, amazing for PvEs, amazing for PvPs. Honestly, not that difficult to obtain. It should be the perfect fighting style, right? But it's still only gonna earn its way up to the top of the good tier. It is the best fighting style that we looked at so far, right above Superhuman, but still not broken yet, guys. I hate to say it, but you know, that should be a good sign because it means we got some crazier fighting styles to look at up next. All right, back in the third C with the Dragon Talon fighting style. This game got me going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So Dragon Talon can be unlocked here at Haunted Castle. Going right up to this gear over here. It is taught by none other than Uzoth, the Dragon Talon trainer. Isn't it ironic the best admin in the game teaches the worst fighting style? That's just a joke. I don't think it's the worst fighting style. It's an ongoing joke we have, okay? I love Uzoth. I love Dragon Talon. But that's not the issue we're here to discuss. The issue is, before you can even consider talking to this guy, you gotta bring him a fire essence. Now, how do you get a fire essence? You gotta farm a bunch of NPCs here at Haunted Castle, go to this Walmart Gandalf, Death King looking dude, and trade your bones for random surprises. And if you're lucky, you have a very small chance of getting a fire essence. So once you give him the fire essence, pretty much it's over, right? Wrong! You're once again gonna have to spend 3 million berries and 5,000 fragments. Honestly, this one, to unlock it, it's literally based on luck, and very low luck at that. So, very difficult to obtain the Dragon Talon fighting style. So right off the bat, it looks very cool. And when you do your M1s, you know, you get this trail of flame going behind you. Looking at the skills here, the Talon Lighter, 125 mastery, Ember Annihilation 250, and Infernal Vortex 350. So the Z move, the Talon Lighter is very good for starting combos. And it is also a mobility skill right here. Makes you travel pretty far. Oh my god. I love the orange turning into blue flames. It looks disgusting. The problem with the Z move is it's not really good for grinding NPCs because it's only single hit. You cannot attack multiple enemies with it, and the knockback is insanely far. Now the X move, Ember Annihilation, it's pretty dope because it deals residual damage with the flame that you put onto the ground. But the problem is this thing travels at a pretty low speed. So if you're attacking actual sentient human beings with it, they could easily dodge it if they really wanted to. The C move, Infernal Vortex, the range is not too crazy, but it has insane combo range and a crazy damage. But sadly, there's a common theme going on with Dragon Talon. It is very, very slow. Like, look how long it takes to activate. Still very slow, and it makes your character unable to move for like a good 2 seconds. So if you miss, you're gonna get jumped. Very good fighting style, probably one of the strongest, and looks just absolutely gorgeous, guys. Every single skill, you can tell this was a fighting style that dropped in recent updates because the VFX just goes crazy with this one. Problem is, I would say it's only very good for PvPs, insanely high damage, but not very good for farming levels. And also definitely not very good for auto-clicking because, you know, your character moves forward when you click. Add on to the fact the chances of getting a fire essence is so incredibly low. This fighting style is actually very difficult to obtain. So it is still gonna end up in the good category though. I would put it under the Superhuman, but definitely above the Electric Claw. So yeah, there you go. Still nothing broken yet, but the good category is, it's looking pretty stacked right now, I gotta say. Up next, we got the God-Human fighting style, which is unlocked here somewhere on Floating Turtle. Let me show you where it is. Right behind this tree, a random tree with a hole in it. And right here, we got Ancient Monk, or as I like to call him, mouth, because what the hell is that, guys? What is that? Please tell me. In order to unlock the God-Human fighting style, these are the requirements. I'm gonna have to read it out for you guys because it's way too long. We're gonna need 400 mastery on Dark Step, Sharkman Karate, Electric Claw, Dragon Talon, and Superhuman. But wait, there's more. You're also gonna need 10 Dragon Scale, 20 Fishtail, 10 Mystic Droplets, 20 Magma Ores, 5 million berries, and 5,000 fragments. talk about the Blox Fruits grind. Holy good God. Things are getting real hefty now. If you weren't broke before, you definitely are broke now after you get God Human. So let's take a look here. Right off the bat, looks very similar to Superhuman. The Soaring Beast, 125 Mastery, Heaven and Earth, 250, and the 6th Realm Gun. Sounds pretty cool. 350 Mastery. So the Z move Soaring Range, like many Z moves, gives you a sort of mobility right there. And if your enemies happen to be an actual player, this one drains instinct dodges and also stuns your opponent. So the X move Heaven and Earth has 2 forms, all right? The regular tap, which has a pretty long range. You throw out this crazy air blast at your opponent, but it deals very little damage. But now if you hold it down, it does have less range, but deals more damage. Look at that, 4,600. The downside to that is obviously you gotta hold it, so many times you will miss and you're kind of stuck in place, opening yourself up for getting comboed. So the C move, 6 Realms Gun, also have 2 forms. You could just tap it. Boom, there it is. Crazy knockback there as well. Now let's hold it down and see what happens. Character charge up. Come on, dude. Yo, God Human, you're literally embarrassing myself in front of my viewers. All right, charge it up and boom, there you go. You hold on to your opponent, does way more damage and has a bigger AoE. But it shares the similar downsides as the X move, is if you hold it down, you know, it's harder to hit your opponents and you open yourself up to getting hit too. So choose wisely. Not recommended for farming. Although the M1, it's great. The speed is relatively fast. For auto clicking and for, you know, Buddha farming, it's pretty useful, I would say. So although it is impossibly difficult to obtain, it is a worthy and very small price to pay in comparison to what you're getting. The God Human fighting style, broken tier, our first entry. Let's go. Hey, I told y'all we'll get there. I told you, man. Thanks for sticking with us. So next up, we got the mythical Sanguine Art fighting style, the newest one that was added into the game for now. But yeah, you also unlock it in the newest island, the Tiki Hut, I believe it's called. Not Tiki Hut, what am I saying? Tiki Outpost. And if you go into this cage here, you will find Shaffy. This guy's got so much barrels of wine, homie. Are you drinking your sorrows away for getting overworked over at Blox Fruits? So if you come up and talk to Shaffy, he will teach you the Sanguine Art fighting style for a very small price of, gotta read this again here, 20 Demonic Wisps, 20 Vampire Fangs, 2 Dark Fragments, and the Leviathan Heart. And of course, 5 million berries and 5,000 fragments. That goes without saying. I wouldn't say this is harder to get than God Human though, but y'all let me know in the comments what you think. And here it is. This fighting style probably has, you know, my favorite pose in the entire game. Look at it. It's like, come at me, come at me. Yeah, so the mastery here, as you can see, Bloodbane Drain, 125, Scarlet Tear, 250, and Devourer of Worlds, 350. Pretty standard, I would say. Overall, this fighting style has probably the longest range in terms of its M1 because of the trail that it leaves when you attack. Look how beautiful this looks. Yeah, the range is pretty crazy, which is good for M1 spamming. Even without Buddha, the enemy just can't get close to you to hit you. This Z move, Bloodbane Drained, is very powerful because not only does it have a pretty decent range, it locks your opponents in place, deals some decent damage, and drains their health. Fun fact, it also ignores defensive buffs like the Buddha transformation as well as the Shark V3. So very useful. So the X move Scarlet Tear, you can bring enemies closer towards you, or you can push them further away. Finally, the Devourer of Worlds also brings enemies close to you, and it has auto aim. So check this out. I'm gonna aim right over here. Don't matter. Get over here! It even deals residual damage on them with those orbs, as you see. So the only problem with this skill, it has a very high end lag. So once you use it, you know, you're stuck for a second and you can't move. So once again, do not miss this attack. So overall, just to summarize, Sanguine Art, amazing for PvE, farming for levels, auto-clicking, all the stuff you need to do. Insane combos for PvP, and even has a life string ability. So absolutely broken, guys. There's just nowhere else to put it except on the top of the list. So you know I couldn't finish this tier list off without talking about this new fighting style that is dropping very soon, and also the OG combat. Let's start with this first one. Nobody knows what it's called yet, but I think everybody is saying it's gonna be the Angel fighting style. It's gonna be pretty confusing since there's already an Angel race in the game. So this fighting style was originally hinted during the Winter Update Part 1 trailer when showing off the T-Rex abilities. Zeolus thought he was slick and had this brand new MeEnyu fighting style equipped on the bottom of his screen. Because it had wings and a halo on top, everybody just assumed that it was an angel fighting style. I kind of agree, to be honest. Not much is known about it yet. It does seem like it's gonna be dropping in the next update, so at this rate, maybe 2028. If we're lucky. So I did scour the internet for more information about this fighting style, and there are some leaks, actually. Many people have posted about it. I'm not sure who was the first to leak it. I did find this one, though, which does have a lot of info. This was posted by Windy. By the way, guys, don't believe everything that you see here. These are leaks, so I'm not 100% sure that they're legit, but it looks pretty real to me. So here's supposed to be the M1 combo. It's a gold color, which looks absolutely beautiful. Just looking back at it, it does look similar to Sanguine Art. I think it will have some crazy range. The M1 does look pretty fast too, so it's looking pretty good so far. So this is a clear view of one of the skills. Shout out King Jordan for posting this. This is a pretty clear view of the skill. Look at that. Bro, everybody just freezes. Y'all seen that? It summons like this yellow ring around you and everybody just stuck in place. That's insane. That, I don't know about you guys, but that looks OP as hell. Going back to Windy's channel, it does look like these are the supposed skills. The fighting style is called Divine Art. Fool's Desire? Demise? Maybe Demise. Judgment of the Pitiful. And the last one is called Timeless Misery. Here's another picture, supposedly credits to Shafi. I don't know if this is legit, but there you go. But this one I'm about to show you is 100% legit because Shafi himself posted it. If you take a look, it looks very similar to what we saw in that video. That's why I think the leaks are probably real. So yeah, that's definitely the leak on the new fighting style. Is it Angel? Is it Divine Art? Who knows? What I do know is based on what we've seen so far, this fighting style is gonna be absolutely broken. I'm gonna put it above the Sanguine Art. I'm calling my shot right now, guys. And hey, if I'm wrong, so be it. But let this be the greatest prediction in the history of Blox Fruits. This new fighting style will be the second best in the game by far when it drops. And of course, it's gonna be second only to the most lethal fighting style in the entire game, Combat. This is the rarest fighting style in the game because anybody who's ever bought a fighting style can no longer have access to the GOAT. Just look how amazing it is. One shot kills every single bandit. I mean, what else do you want? Look at that M1 combo. Absolutely lethal. Deadly. Quick tackle is probably the fastest, most undodgeable skill in the entire game. Perfect for every single combo, and the ground smash is just the craziest AoE you've ever seen in your life. Literally flawless, the perfect fighting style in every way imaginable, so that's why I think it deserves its own tier. God! Alright, up next, we're gonna rank every single gun in Blox Fruits, and I know how valuable your time is, so we're gonna make this as fast and informative as possible. Alright, here we go. Let's take a look. We got every single mastery on every gun. This will be my first time using it, just as it is your first time seeing it, because let's be real, you don't have mastery on your guns either, okay? All right, we got the slingshot, regular M1. Oh, man. Oh, the range is atrocious. Sticky pellet. What even is that, dude? Explosive pellet? Yeah. No. Revamp. All right, we got the musket, dragon bullet. First time I'm seeing this, just as you are. Bro, how did these guns have shorter ranges than swords? Wow, there's even a lag when you fire it off. And bold pistolero? Oh my god, yo. I did not expect that. That was a whole tornado. All right, next up, we got the flintlock. Disabling shot. What did it disable? Rapid gun? Okay, it just fires off 3 shots. Oh my god, bro. I had no idea it was this bad. How are we not demanding gun reworks from way before? This is the same thing. Sticky pellet. This is just a refined slingshot. Refined flintlock? Bro, they just remade the same guns. All right, cannon. We better be looking at something new here. Alpha wave. Yeah, no comment. Incendiary ammo. Oh, damn, actually leaves a trail of fire. Bazaar rifle, I actually seen people use this here and there, so it must not be all that bad. Heat-seeking shot, that was pretty cool. And hellfire shower, oh, scary. Whoa, it's blue flames. Yo, a revamped Bazaar rifle could actually look pretty dope, guys. All right, moving on. A Sidum rifle actually did have mastery on this one already. We got a spiky bomb. This actually can be used for PvPs, for comboing. And acidic smoke. Deals damage over time, which is pretty good. Serpent bow, of course, this is the one that we saw the revamp on. Woo! Poisonous blast. Okay, so this might also deal poison damage to your opponents. Damn. Oh, yeah. Yo, that's actually pretty strong. What the hell? Snakebite? Hey, maybe these legendary guns are not so trash. All right, Kabucha, also used for PvPs for extending combos, I believe. Flying Firebird, and the Intense Wind. This one knocks your opponent back pretty far. And finally, the Soul Guitar. This is the only gun, I believe, that's being used currently in PvPs. The M1, even the M1 is pretty dope. The Soul Shaker. And the El Diablo. Yeah, compared to other guns, I mean, there really is actually no comparison. This is just so much better. Definitely, if you were to ask me, the Soul Guitar wouldn't really need a rework. I think it could just stay the way it is. Maybe they can give it an upgraded look, but honestly, pretty good. And there you have it, guys. That is a showcase of every single gun that exists in the game. All right, up next, it is time we rank every single gun. And done. All right, let's move on. Next up, we'll be ranking every single race in Blox Fruits. Y'all thought I was gonna get canceled for a second. With race V1, starting off with the human, this is the most common race, and the chances are, if you're watching this video, then you spawn into real life as a human as well. Well, in this game, there's a 62.5% chance that you started as a human. And how can you tell that you're a human? Well, there's actually no visible indicators at all. Now, let's just say if you're like me and you're not a fan of being a human, there's a race change game pass that you could purchase for 90 Robux in the shop. Now, if you don't like spending Robux, you can also purchase race rerolls through Tort in the second sea. Kind of boring, and also no ability buffs that comes with being human as well. So unfortunately for the human race, it's gonna have to go into the nah category. All right, up next, we got Rabbit V1. There's a 12.5% chance of spawning in when you first start a brand new account. So in terms of appearance, it's gonna be very easy to tell. I mean, you get the bunny ears. And in terms of ability buffs, basically, you move at 1.5 times the speed. So it's a little bit faster, which helps a lot, especially earlier on. So if you're one of the lucky players to spawn into the game as a rabbit, welcome to the furry gang. Congratulations, you have landed yourself a pretty good race to start the game at. All right, moving on to Shark Race V1, another 12.5% chance of spawning into the game with it. But basically, the way you can tell you're a shark race is you get a little cute little shark fin on your back. So that's the visuals, and in terms of ability, this one's actually pretty cool. It decreases the amount of damage you take underwater, not take too much damage as you would if you were just any other race, as well as increases your movement speed in water. And you can tell I swim very fast. I'm the Michael Phelps of Blox Fruits. Again, this ability is kind of useful in the first sea for newcomers. I would put the shark race as good, but just right under the rabbit though, because I do think running a little bit faster on land just gives you a slight advantage. And also, I'm a furry. Just kidding, I'm not. Don't clip that. All right, the final one out of the 4 base races that you can spawn into the game with is the Angel race, 12.5%. You already know the deal. In terms of appearance, again, on the back, you can see these tiny little angel wings. Can't really fly with it. Unfortunately, they're just for decoration purposes only. In terms of abilities, apparently it makes you jump a little bit higher, but I can't tell the difference. Let me know if you can. We're gonna have to put this in the med category. Not very useful, but of course it is better than the human. So up next, we have the Cyborg race. Now this one, you just can't spawn into the game as one. You would have to unlock it. How do you unlock it, you ask? It's pretty tough. So in order to even start the quest to obtain the Cyborg race, you're gonna need a Fist of Darkness. With the Fist of Darkness, you're gonna sacrifice it to the Order Raid machine. And then you're basically just gonna have to kill the Order a million freaking times until he drops this thing called the Core Brain. Now, with the Core Brain in your inventory, you can go into this secret room where you will be able to purchase a Cyborg race for a breezy 2,500 fragments. And guess what? With the Cyborg race V1, you don't even get any power-ups or ability buffs with it whatsoever. You're gonna have to wait till races V2, 3, and 4. So that being said, with how difficult Cyborg V1 is to obtain and giving you absolutely nothing in return, I'm gonna have to put this in the med category below the human. All right, for V1 of the goal race, this one's actually gonna be also difficult to obtain. So to unlock the goal race, you're gonna need 100 ectoplasm as well as the Hellfire Torch. To get the ectoplasm, you gotta kill NPCs that are part of the Hunted ship here. I'm currently at 59 ectoplasm. I'll see y'all back when I'm at 100. There it is, 100 ectoplasm. Now we just need the Hellfire Torch. You gotta just keep on killing the cursed captain until you get it. Give me this Hellfire Torch. Yo, let's go, baby. What did I say? All right, we're gonna trade this in for the goal race. Yeah, boy. So with this, you get a slightly increased regen and 30% faster speed during nighttime. Here's my current speed, and here's my speed at night. Yeah, you can tell it's like slightly faster, nothing really significant, and it only works at night, so not very effective either. So difficult to obtain, but some pretty decent buffs. I will put it in the good category, just under the rabbit, and the shark race. So this is the finalized race V1 tier list. Nothing broken just yet, but we'll get there very soon. But for now, let's move on to version 2. Going back to the human race, and this actually goes for all 6 races. In order to obtain race V2, you must complete the Alchemist quest in the second sea. And I will demonstrate on the human race how to do the Alchemist quest. So there's this little nerd looking dude over Green Zone. You're gonna gonna talk to him. He's gonna say you haven't unlocked your potential yet. I have to bring him 3 different flowers around the map. First flower is the red flower. You can find this somewhere in the second seed during daytime. In the flower bed. Ah, there it is. See? Right there. That is flower number 2. The blue flower, which is, I guess, flower number 1, can only be found during nighttime. So while it's still bright, let's go get our yellow flower, which can be found by killing NPCs. So these swamp pirates are probably your best bet because you could kill them relatively fast and they spawn pretty frequently. Oh, whoa, look, right there. Yo, usually it takes me like 100 kills, but we just got flower 3. That's the yellow one. All right, now that it's nighttime, let's go ahead and find our flower number 3. And remember, guys, while you're doing this, do not leave the game because the flowers will reset. There it is on this gravestone. Flower number 1. Now that we got all 3 flowers, we could just take it to Alchemist over here and purchase our race V2 for 500,000. Now that we got human V2, as you can see, or maybe can't see, again, no visual difference whatsoever. But luckily, we do get a little bit of increased movement speed. If you can tell, I am running a little bit faster. Flash step distance is also much further with the human V2, and the regeneration time in between flash step is decreased. You also get an extra dodge with instinct and faster instinct regeneration, and finally, you get longer dash distances. With the ability buffs, this human V2 is definitely a lot better than V1, but still, it's not great compared to the other races in terms of V2, so it's gonna land once again in the meh category. Now, onto Rabbit V2, there's no visual changes once again, and I'm pretty sure that is the same across the board also for all the races. So the only thing really to discuss is the ability buff. As you can see here, with V2, you do run a little faster, so it goes from 1.5 times speed, now 2 times the speed. Look at me go! So also the length of the dash is increased slightly, and also the amount of energy it takes drops. That's pretty much all the changes for V2. Nothing crazy, nothing super exciting. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the speed boost. I think 2 times speed helps a lot, especially in the early on. I will give this good. Once again, there it goes. All right, Shark V2, nothing to be said about the appearance and how you obtain it. No changes there whatsoever. The only difference is the character speed increases while you're walking on land, but not only that, it also increases while you're in the water. Oh my god, look how fast I'm swimming. Good god, I think I swim faster than I run. And in addition to that, as you can see with my health bar, I now take absolutely 0 damage from being in the water, so I could just swim forever. I don't know why you would want to do that, but if you did, you could. Overall, I think the change in the ability relative to the rabbit and human for V2 is pretty similar to V1, so I would once again give the shark a good just right below the mink. Or rabbit, please don't cancel me. Now, onto the angel race. No visible changes, no difference in how to obtain it, and the ability buff is not very impressive. So the first sky jump is a little bit higher than the others, and the energy that you spend while jumping is just a little bit lower. The biggest thing I would say is you get an additional air jump, so you get 11 instead of 10. I really don't see any major benefits to this, so that's why this is going into the meh tier, just right under the human. So you can already see the tier list starting to change a little bit, going from V1 to V2, and trust me, it's gonna change a lot more. Now, with the cyborg race, this one is a little more complex and very, very impressive. When you get V2, you basically take 10% less damage from melee, swords, and guns. But not only that, 15% of the damage that you receive actually converts passively into energy. So if you're getting beaten to a pulp, hey, at least you're gonna have a lot of energy to use. You may or may not find that to be very useful if you're not really constantly running out of energy and don't plan on getting hit a lot. With no boost in movement speed, I don't see it being super useful, so I think this goes right below the human, but definitely above the angel. So now we're on Gold V2. Again, you get it from the Alchemist quest. No visible changes to the appearance. The ability upgrade now is Life Leech. So basically, whenever you're using your fighting style against your opponents, you get a percentage of the damage dealt back into your health. It's very insignificant when it comes to NPCs. I think it's close to 5%, but with other PvP players, it's 25%, which is pretty good. That being said, I will put this right under the rabbit, above the shark. Gold race goes into the good tier. And that concludes our V2 tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But let's move on to V3. The obtainment category is gonna be a little more interesting now. Although every single V3 has to be obtained through arrow, through a quest, but the quests are different to every single race. So right now we're back as the human. We're gonna talk to Arrow, and he's gonna give us a quest. If we want to get stronger, we have to defeat Jeremy, Fajita, and Diamond. That is our quest line for human V3. All right, first up, Diamond Boss. We're gonna kill him with combat. Should be a piece of cake. It's actually tanking my hits a little bit. That kind of sucks. Boom, there we go. Next up, we got Jeremy. It's on sight, little buddy. I'll MeEnyu. I don't even care, man. I'm crazy. Don't try to mess with me. Yeah. And last but not least, we got Fajita. Making me hungry with that name, bro. Check this out. This is the sickest move ever. You just walk around with the magma floor and damage your opponents. Hey, there we go. So finally, after completing whatever task Arrow gives you, you're gonna come back here and he's gonna sell you a Race V3 for a very cheap price, 2 million. And there we go. New title unlocked, full power. So once again, as usual for human, you get no visible changes, 0 drip whatsoever. But if you'll notice on the bottom of my screen now, I have a 4th ability and that is called Last Resort. And that is the buff that you get with V3. When activated, it allows me to deal more damage. The lower my health is, the higher the amount of damage I deal. For example, right now I have max health. Boom, that's 895 damage. But why don't we get our health down a little bit? And now we're gonna activate Last Resort and bam, 1080 damage. What's up? So that is the amount of difference that it makes. And let's just say in a PvP dire situation, you're about to die, pop the Last Resort and maybe just one-shot combo your opponent. But as cool as that sounds, guys, believe it or not, it is probably the weakest buff out of all of the V3s. So we're gonna put this once again back at the meh category. All right, on to the next one. Rabbit V3. Let's go talk to Arrow, see what we gotta do. So we have to pick up 30 treasure chests. Again, not sure what the correlation is between that and being maybe furries like money. Are you furries in the comments down below? Let me know if that's true. All right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go. I think that's been 30 chests. Let's go. 2 million more spent. Godspeed. And as you can see, in terms of appearance, we're extra furry now. We got a furry tail on our back. And in terms of ability, we now have the agility ability, bars. And basically, when you activate it, you know how I ran like 2 times as fast? Now double that. So 4 times the speed, plus longer dashes, as well as less cooldown between dashes. Oh, I'm a furry speed demon. Pretty cool, especially when you're trying to become like a runner in PvPs. That'll definitely help you get away from your opponents. But it's definitely not the most versatile V3 that's out there. So unfortunately, the rabbit for the first time is gonna drop down to a meh category, right above the human though. All right, on to Shark V3. This one's gonna be a little bit annoying. Yeah, defeat a sea beast. I mean, that's not the tough part. The annoying part is actually finding one. Sea beast might spawn in 2 minutes, might spawn in 20 minutes. Oh, we just found one. Woo! Yo, 50K! Let's go! Easy. Take my money. Shut up and take my money. Let's go. Warrior of the Sea. So you get a fin on the back and now also 2 other fins on your arm. But not only does it look good, the Shark V3 has an insane buff with the water body. When activated, basically, you take 65% less damage. Look at the difference in the amount of damage I take with and without water body. So when somebody is comboing you, all you gotta do is pop a water body and basically you're gonna be immune. You can't be killed. But wait, there's more. With Shark V3, you can also swim even faster than you did before. Michael Phelps don't even have anything on me anymore. Call me Daddy Shark. Okay, no, that's sus. Don't call me that. Yeah, so with Shark V3, basically turning you into an absolute unit, I think it's safe to say we have landed our first entry into the broken category. But this, of course, guys, is relative to V3's only compared to V4 abilities. We're not even scratching the surface yet. All right, moving on to our 4th race in V3, Angel. So we gotta defeat one of our own kind. We gotta kill another angel. But where am I gonna find one of my own kind? Oh, not only is he an angel race, he looks exactly like me. What an imposter. I don't like imposters. Kill him. Hey, and we got the Nakama Forever title. Let's go. And now we have Angel V3. Look at this. My wings got bigger, but I still can't fly for some reason. Now, in terms of ability, we're gonna go back to these mad scientists. All right, so now I'm getting hit, but when I activate Heavenly Blood, I get faster health regen. You see that? Oh, also, I take less damage. I think it's decent. It could be kind of useful in PvP scenarios. Not as useful as the shark, but definitely a bit better than the rabbit and human, I guess. I will put this in the good category. So first of all, to obtain Cyborg V3 through the arrow quest, you're gonna need a physical fruit. Why don't we go ahead and spin for one right now? Okay, the ice. Now let's bring this ice fruit back over to arrow, and we have the Cyborg V3, probably the easiest arrow quest that you could do out of the 6 races. Now you do get a visual upgrade that comes with it. That one cyborg eye turns into this cool looking mask, and the Cyborg V3 ability is just absolutely insane. It's called the energy core, and when you activate it, it It increases your defense by 30% and it does tick damage around your enemies. Look, I almost killed him just by having it activated. Insane potential when you're hitting your opponent with a combo. Activate the tick damage. One-shot kill every single time. So all of that being said, I think the cyborg race is finally starting to step up a little bit. The V3 looks sick and is absolutely broken. Maybe, I will put it just under the shark. All right, now on to unlocking Gold V3. Let's talk to Arrow here. So I gotta defeat 5 players to get Gold V3. So I will once again be using my main account as a dummy. And with that, we have completed our quest. Let's go ahead and buy our gold race for 2 million and take a look at that. My horns just got bigger. Yeah, the Heightened Senses V3 ability buffs my damage, defense, and speed when activated. And also, the cool thing about it is I can use my skills when it's only at 40% cooldown. So let's just say I use my quick tackle. I pop my Heightened Senses. It's at 40% cooldown. I could use it again. It could be pretty cool when you're trying to pop like multiple combos at once when your skills are still on cooldown. So yeah, gold race pretty good for pulling off faster combos and just getting a slight buff overall on all your stats. I would probably put this in the good category as well. It's pretty much on par with the Angel, I would say. And that concludes our V3 tier list, everybody. It's definitely looking very different now, getting a few in the broken entry. Let's move on to the final list, V4 Race Awakening. Oof. All right, finally, I'm excited for this one. Now, let's first talk about how to obtain Race V4. There's a general Race Awakening quest that everybody has to complete in the 3rd sea. Let's just get straight into the trials themselves. And starting off with Human. Basically, you just have to defeat one of the Fruit Awakening raid bosses in under a minute. So very simple piece of cake. I'm not even using hockey. Absolutely obliterated. All right, again, once you unlock Race V4 for Human, there's 0 appearance change. But let's now take a look at the Awakening itself. Woo! Look at that. We finally got some drip, ladies and gentlemen, after 4 iterations of the human race. Each Race Awakening actually has 2 special unique abilities, and the first one for Human is actually called Psycho. So this one gives you 3 insanely long flash steps that makes you disappear for like a good 2 seconds. You could pretty much teleport very large distances. The second ability is called Limit Break. So as you can see, when I'm dealing damage, I get a counter on the bottom of my screen, and that number indicates the multiplier that I get on my damage. It maxes out at 99. Absolutely unstoppable. I mean, until the V4 runs out, then you definitely can't be stopped. So I think I gotta give the Human V4 its first ever dub. We're gonna put this upgraded finally into the good category. This is a huge W for humankind everywhere. Mink Race. Basically, you gotta find the exit of the maze. The more you do this, the harder it gets. Out of all Race Awakenings, in my opinion, this is the most difficult trial to complete. So after obtaining the Rabbit V4, you get this long, waggling sort of wolf tail instead of the bunny tail now. Now, how do we look when transformed? Woo! So your tail gets even bigger and you get this white glowing emo hair. So the 2 abilities that you get are Whirlwind and Lightning Cloak. So for Whirlwind, when you dash around, you leave like a tornado behind you that can like deal damage to opponents right there. And you can get much longer dashes with Lightning Cloak. And even when you hold down your dash, you could do like a mega dash. I will be perfectly honest, just in terms of appearance and also abilities alone, not a fan of the rabbit, and I don't even think it's very popular amongst Blox Fruits players. Usually, you don't see many endgame players using the rabbit race. So with the Rabbit Awakening trial being one of the hardest to complete and the abilities being effectively useless when you're max level, I would actually downgrade the rabbit race to a mad category. Shark trials. Very simple. Defeat a sea beast in 1 minute. Poses absolutely no threat whatsoever. So the best way to go about beating this sea beast is just by using the magma fruit. What did that take, like 20 seconds? All right, Shark V4. Now, with the V4, you get this extra, I don't know, this whale tail that wags around behind you. I thought V3 looked good, but this thing kind of just, it looks slimy and creeps me out a little bit. Now with the transformation. Woo! Your fins turn white and so do your hair, and you get like a blue outline around you. So with Shark, get 2 effects. The first one is the Leviathan armor. As you can see, my health has like a cushion beside it, and that is basically my armor. When I deal damage, my armor goes up, and when I get hit, my health does not go down, but my armor does. So that makes me much more tankier. Like if you combine this with the water body, you're basically unkillable. The second effect is of course Whirlpool. As you can see here, when you get near your enemy and attack them, they get put in this whirlpool whirlpool that significantly slows them down. And the more damage you deal, the more effective the whirlpool is. It reduces both their speed and their defense. We're gonna have to put this in the broken category. All right, the Angel Awakening Trial is probably the easiest. All you gotta do is jump on these clouds and make it to the end. It's very, very simple. Just like that. Didn't even break a sweat. All right, Angel V4. You get these massive wings on your back. Looks super dope. Now with the transformation. Ooh, the gold effect, this glowing yellow thing. What is that? The golden snitch around you. Two abilities. You get the Prince of Skies, which allows you to just glide around by holding the dash. And the second ability is the King's Rule. So it puts an aura around you that makes people come near you just bow down. Look at that. It deals damage. It causes slowness. It gives screen distortion. And it causes energy drain. I just have to stand there and they just die before me. Also, if you're about to die, just fly away. I don't think it is as good, but in terms of effectiveness, I think it's very, very good, just not quite broken. I'm gonna put it at the top of the good category just to keep the human race company. All right, Trial of the Machines. Basically, rockets are just gonna fall from the sky and you just have to dodge them. Stay alive for the entire minute without dying. Yeah, this one's actually much more fun compared to the other Race Awakening trials. All right, just in terms of visuals, the Cyborg race definitely received like the biggest glow up of the century. Look at these cybernetic wings on your back. Now let's transform. Ooh, okay, so the blue theme on your cybernetic wings, it turns purple now. You do like a Super Saiyan stance, which is pretty sick. Now, the abilities are Energy Control and Aftershock. So the Energy Control, it chains damages to nearby enemies with these orbs. And the Aftershock, as you can see, when you attack your opponent, it applies an electrifying effect and basically breaks their instinct, disallowing them to use instinct altogether. So this is incredibly effective for farming or just attacking multiple PvP opponents at once. This damage change just makes you deal so much damage. And did you see that insane, flash jump, whatever that was? That's also part of it. I think the Cyborg race ends up in a spot very comfortably in the broken category, just right below the Shark. They're very close. They're like head to head. All right, this is our final race V4 to put on the tier list, the Goal race. All right, Goal Awakening Trial of Carnage. You just gotta beat waves of these zombies. They just come at you. Best to use the Buddha fruit for this and literally just M1 spam if you can. Well, that was easy. With the V4, you get these spiky red crown around your head. Goal Awakening. 6 black wings. Get this incredibly huge black hole around you. So your two abilities that come with it, one is Blood Siphon, which every time you deal damage to your enemies, you gain health back. But that's not the coolest part. The real cool part is this dark aura that's around you. This is a domain expansion. And what the domain does is when an enemy is within your domain, it negates any potential health regeneration and it just completely lose all of their visibility. On top of that, all the passives that you have with the Goal race during the nighttime, you also get it during the day. And all cooldowns are reduced by 40%. That is huge. I would say overall for the Goal race, the trial is in the medium category. The looks are in the medium category, and the abilities, although pretty cool, kind of land within the medium category. I mean, you can't argue that it's any better than the Shark or the Cyborg abilities. So we're gonna put it right in the middle here in the good category. And that concludes our race V4 tier list. Next up, the tier list that nobody asked for but everybody needs, the admin command. We're gonna be ranking every single admin command that's ever existed. All right, starting off with our first admin power, the Kamui. And just like Naruto, the Kamui basically allows the admin to teleport themselves and also other players to different dimensions within the game, or in this case, hidden maps. I mean, there's literally a Kamui dimension. With the spin of Obito's Mangekyu Sharingan, basically you'd get teleported over here to this map. There's nothing you could do. It's just a cool looking spot, I guess. That's all. Now, this is just one of the many hidden maps the Kamui can teleport you to. If you take a look at the bottom of Admin Uzat's screen here, you can also see he has the commands for the Arena Kamui, RIP Kamui, and also the Heaven Kamui. So these three maps you can be taken to by a purple spinning Sharingan. I'm actually not familiar with this. Not a big fan of Naruto, to be honest. But basically, this is a massive arena where you can battle it out. Maybe this is where the admins PvP. They need a bigger space than us regular noobs. We can only fight in the Coliseum. The RIP Kamui, of course, takes you to the RIP family hideout, where it's like an infinite maze of different doors that you could just keep on walking into, but eventually will lead to nowhere. And finally, my favorite map is, of course, the Heaven Kamui, which takes you to the Red Legion hangout. This place is pretty dope. Got like Heaven's Gates that open up, that welcomes you in. It's got a bunch of temples. Everything's looking nice and bright. Literally looks like heaven. That's what I would imagine heaven would look like. Oh, and one cool thing to know about the Kamui, which I actually find useful, is you could also teleport NPCs away from their regular locations to these hideouts. So if I was an admin, I would literally just be trolling noobs all day. Like, if you join a public server, you won't find a single NPC. I would have kidnapped them all. This is definitely why the Blox Fruits owners should never give me a single admin command. Relatively speaking, I'm gonna have to give the Kamui like, I'm gonna give it a C tier. Yeah, there it goes. All right, now quite the opposite. This next admin power we're gonna be looking at, a lot of you guys probably haven't heard of it already. Amaterasu. Amaterasu is a Mangekyo Sharingan dojutsu and the highest level of fire release. It is said to represent the material world and light. God, I sound like a major weeb right now. Why didn't the Blox Fruits owners just make a Naruto game? What is this? But hold on, I'm sure you want to see it in action if you haven't already, and I'm about to show it to you guys. So we'll put down like, I don't know, 7 graybeards, just to give you guys a quick demonstration. And we'll equip the Amaterasu. Don't look at the other commands. Here we go, Amaterasu. Woo! Did y'all catch that? Do we have to slow it down for you guys? Look at these black flames that pop up on the screen, just like in an anime. Not One Piece though, for some reason. And there it is. That is 7,833,712 damage. Just one-shotted these graybeards, no biggie. What I really like about this command is I think it's the only one in the game that has voice acting incorporated into it. I think you could literally hear Sasuke's voice as he's calling out his skill. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fire. Literally, black fire. We're gonna put this in a nice, comfortable A tier. This is a pretty fire move. Love the voice acting. Would like to see this being used more often by the admins in the future. Just not on me. Don't use it on me, please. All right, next up we have the Black Nuke. This is another admin power that deals direct damage to other NPCs or players. Allow me to demonstrate. So here we go, let's zoom out a bit and boom! There it is, the Black Nuke. It covers up like a pretty good chunk of the map, honestly. That AoE is crazy. If you haven't noticed already, it is pretty much just a reskin of the Rumble V move. That's all this is. All right, we just summoned a couple Gorilla Kings, a couple Darkbeards, a Do King, no big deal. And let's drop the Black Nuke on them. And with max stats here, that is a one-shot kill, I guess only on the Gorillas. Just ignore the fact that it says Uza's name on the top right there. It is definitely me. It is my account. So as you guys just saw from the demonstration, the Black Nuke is literally just a reskin Rumble V move. It's not any better, it's not any worse. It just looks different. So honestly, because of the fact that it's not unique in any way, we're gonna have to put this down into the F tier. I'm sorry, it's good, but compared to other admin abilities, it's kind of trash. Come on. All right, next up, we got the Black Meteor. Now, this one's different. This one is much cooler. You'll see why. So once again, let's zoom out a bit so you guys can get a better view of this absolute mayhem. Look at this. If the Red Legion hideout is what heaven looks like, this is what hell will look like. So pretty much you're just spamming the Rumble V move plus the Gravity Meteor Shower move, and it lasts forever. Look at it. It doesn't stop. It's endless. It doesn't stop. If an admin ever dropped this move on you, on your head top, just quit the game. Honestly, I would. So that's what it looked like, but how strong is it? Let's find out by making a bunch of graybeards as our sacrifice here. That is like a good 7 graybeards stacked on top of each other, and we're gonna drop the move. Oh my god, they're getting yeeted all over the place. Doesn't look like we're gonna be killing them though. I don't think they're gonna die. There you go. Took down about like, what, 1/5 of each of their health? Not the strongest admin command, but definitely hundreds of times better than the Black Nuke. Also, I love the way it looks, you know, combining the Rumble as well as the Meteor. So this is a dope admin power. I would love to use this. We'll put this in the B tier. All right, so 4 admin commands so far. Nothing on the S tier yet, but don't worry, we'll get there very soon. But for now, moving on to Black Pillar. All right, here it is. Here's a demonstration of the Black Pillar. Let me know what you guys have seen this from, because you definitely have seen this before. Woo! You recognize it? Wait, hold on. Let me give you a view from the side so you can really tell. Oh my god. Yeah, it's just a bunch of pillars rising from the sky, you know, destroying the enemies. Actually, the raid boss, RIP Indra, in his true form, uses this skill. So, RIP Indra admin confirmed. Alright, so we got a bunch of Darkbeards and Gorilla Kings in here once again. Ooh, one-shotted. Didn't really deal much damage on the Dark Beards though. So Black Pillar, you know, because it is a more attack-focused admin command, but doesn't deal a crazy amount of damage. It does look very cool though. We're gonna put this above the Black Nuke, just right at C tier. I think that's a good spot. All right, moving on to the next command, and I promise you 99.99999% of you have not heard about this. It is actually called Rogue. So Rogue is a spec developed by Norp, aka Norpers. I believe he was an admin from long ago and far away. So the first skill here is, it says fittingly named Mori. Shoots a single purple ball of light and deals 37 billion damage. So yeah, it one-shots the entire Blox Fruits verse. If this thing hit all 350k active players right now, it would just instantly vaporize everybody in Blox Fruits. The second skill is named Snap Mori. Basically just Mori, but it sends out a lot more purple balls. All of them still do the same damage as Mori. This also makes Rogue the most overpowered weapon in the entire game. Now, of course, this is not in the game anymore, but we do have a clip of it, and I can show it to you guys. So, this is a clip I found on YouTube. Big shout out to Axior. All credit goes to him. This was posted a long time ago, actually. And there you can see, there he did the Mori. That's the purple ball right there. It was kind of quick. And look at damage. Okay, over here, it's looking like it said 13 billion. So, the Blox Fruits wiki is lying. And here's a demonstration of Snap Mori. Just launching beams. You could tell this was made like 4 years ago with the VFX. But regardless of how just, you know, average it looks, I wouldn't say it looked bad. The damage is undeniable. It one-shot kills everything. So we're gonna put Mori as our first entrance into the S tier. You just can't deny it is the most powerful admin power in the entire game. So up next, we have the mythical meme fruit. I think it's the only power in the game that is an actual fruit. No, it's not a fruit, it's a pylon. So as far as we know, the meme fruit has been completely removed, eradicated from the game, all right? They try to burn the tapes, erase it from existence. The only remnants of the meme fruit is actually in Kit Gaming's inventory, as you can see here, when I logged into his account. Be sure to check that video out, that was pretty dope. And when you try to unstore the fruit, it gives you an error message saying this item type cannot be loaded, only traded. I'm afraid to trade the fruit to myself because Kit knows where I live and he's like a black belt in Jujutsu, so not doing that. But lucky for you guys, one of my closest friends had some admins join his game a couple of years ago where they were showcasing the meme fruit, so let's take a look. We got some footage. So there's my boy Joe. He's a potato for some reason. I don't know, he's weird. And there is the legendary Norpers who made the previous admin command, the Rogue. This was back when update 15 had just released, and you could see him just using the meme fruit. So here Joe asks him the ultimate question: what is the meme fruit? Let's see Norp's answer.
Meme gives you radiation poisoning.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. Meme fruit gives you radiation poisoning and kills you in 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure that was just complete BS. All it is a bunch of pylons on the ground. And just another cool note, this is not really related to admin powers. Norp and Fudd, I think they both ended up joining my boy's stream, and MyGame43 actually donated $200 to him. So that was pretty dope. Even though they never joined my stream, I take that personally. But yeah, there you go, guys. That is the power of the admin meme fruit. As far as I know, as long as you keep pressing it, you just put down as many pylons as you want, but they do nothing. Absolutely useless ability. I don't even get the meme. Like, at least make it funny. Why is a pylon funny? I don't understand. If you guys understand, let me know in the comments, but we're gonna throw this in the D tier, the worst admin power in the game. Next up, we have the slash commands. You know those ones where the admin would type into the chat box like /u star code MeEnyu? Yeah, that is the most terrifying power in the entire game. Some of the craziest ones are the /g command, which gives you the powers of any fruit that you choose, or the /c command, which gives you the physical version of that fruit. As can be demonstrated here when Zeolus gave himself 1,000 physical spin fruits. There's also that time where he gave himself a bunch of physical kitsune and just tried to stack them up into like the leaning tower of Blox fruits or something. I don't know. Like I said, these commands are very scary, especially when put into the wrong hands, like mine. It could completely throw off the trading market of Blox fruits. You know, if I just spawned a million kitsunes and gave them all away. That might be a good idea, actually. Vote MeEnyu to become the next Blox fruits admin. Free kitsune for everybody. There's also the TP and the BR commands where you're able to teleport to any player or bring any player to you. This was very useful when Uzoth and I were hunting down hackers. He would just find them and teleport me over, and I can kill them for their free bounties. And then he would ban them, so it's a win-win-win. But another very cool slash command is a slash spawn, and you guessed it, you can spawn any NPC you want with that. So as I demonstrated to you guys a bunch of times already, you can just slash spawn any boss, any NPC that you want. Very useful for mastery grinding if you're an admin. You don't even need to grind for mastery. There's another very cool one. Basically, you would write slash kill any person and they would just instantly evaporate. Uzoth cleverly used this command on me when I was just trying to do an innocent stream to troll me.
We're gonna do this command on him. Kill MeEnyu. I gotta get near him. Finish him. Okay, we killed him. We killed him. We killed him.
When is the second part? I don't know. I think probably soon. Right? Wait, what just happened? Very funny, Uzoth, but guess what? I hacked your account, so who has the last laugh? So we went over some very useful and very overpowered slash commands, but the most overpowered of them all, it literally has OP in its name, is slash OP fun. So let's just take a look here. This command sets all cooldowns to 0 and allows you to use abilities while you're already using abilities. Uzoth demonstrated that on one of my streams where he used OP fan to basically spam every single skill with every single Blox Fruits, gun, sword, and just completely broke the server. That was one of my favorite videos ever, so if you haven't seen it already, be sure to go check it out. Look at the OP fun Dove move. Taking whack-a-mole to a whole new level. Spamming magma volcanic eruptions into the sky. Yeah, my stuff got so laggy. I was playing on like 2 frames per second, guys. This was a fun stream. Yeah, the slash command, easy S tier. Don't even at me. We're gonna put this ahead of the rogue. It's not even close, guys. All right, this next one is also very crazy. It is the fruit rain command. I don't think this was ever used in a public Blox Fruit server unless it was done by somebody using an exploit. There is a short that was posted on the Gamer Robot channel a long time back, and here you can see the fruit rain demonstrated live. I don't even know how high above they fall from, but holy, every Blox Fruit player's dream. And as far as I understand, the couple of admins that have this power are only allowed to use it if they get direct approval from the owners themselves. So they can't just use it whenever they want, even though they have the ability to. That's how exclusive this command is. There was a couple of times when I tried to create my own version of fruit rain from Wish, if you will. This one time I did it with Kato's with 10,000 fruits. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The fruits just started lagging all over the place. They weren't even falling on the ground. Who needs the admin fruit rain command? We could just spend an entire month rolling for fruits and drop them all yourself. It's a lot more fun. Yeah, fruit rain, definitely very crazy power, but since the admins can't really use it, it's not that useful. But still, I would give it a very high A tier. I would put it in front of the Amaterasu. That's where it belongs. Next up, we have the admin power, which is a literal shotgun. Yeah, they're bringing guns to a fruit fight. This is crazy. So taking a look here, the shotgun is completely unobtainable. That goes without saying. And it's an admin move set, and it has one skill, M1, which is a one-shot kill. This gun was first displayed in a video uploaded by Mr. Blox, where the co-owner of Blox Fruits, RP Indra, used it to fight. I quickly skimmed through the video, guys. I don't see the shotgun. If you do, let me know where it is. But there's a picture here of Indra holding it with one hand. So clearly, this is not just any other gun in the game, even though it looks very similar to like this, for example, the musket. Stare into this barrel of death. So there's not a lot of footage of the shotgun out there, so I can't give it a good rating. In terms of the way it looks, I mean, it looks just like any other gun. You wouldn't really be able to even tell. It is one-shot kill, which is pretty cool, but it's yeah, we'll have to. I guess we'll have to put it in the A tier, just because it's one-shot kill, right? All right, next up we have the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan, one of the 3 great dojutsu. Sounding like a major weeb again. Come on, MeEnyu. So I scoured the entire internet and unfortunately couldn't find any clips of the Sharingan being used in Blox Fruits, but it is on the Blox Fruits wiki, so we could read about it like a bunch of nerds. So basically, it covers your screen with the Sharingan, and it just deals damage. 1.5k damage per second for 6 seconds, and it cannot break instinct. So just imagine this big old thing covering your screen for about 6 seconds, and you don't even die, actually, if you're max level. 9k damage is not enough. I would put this within the range of like probably a little bit better than the Black Nuke. So right there in the D tier. All right, moving on. Our next admin power is the Tensei. The Naruto references, they just never end. So there it is. There's the Tensei. Couldn't be bothered to capitalize the T for some reason. And once again, we're gonna use our crash dummies, a bunch of graybeards as demonstration. So you throw this little orb in the air, and it instantly sucks them all in. Pause. And then the earth around it kind of just folds into a giant orb, and it blasts them to death. How much damage was that? 287 million. You know, some light, nothing to really brag about. So yeah, this is a very strong and also very cool looking skill. There's not much to it. What you see is what you get. Throw up a little orb, turn your enemies into a big orb, and just blast them into pieces. There's nothing more satisfying in video games than that. Am I right, guys? So in terms of damage alone, the Tensei obviously outclasses the Black Meteor, Black Nuke, and the Black Pillars. So it's definitely gotta be an A tier. We just gotta figure out where it is. There it is, above the Amaterasu, just under the fruit ring. That's where the Tensei belongs, baby. So this next one is interesting. It's just called Gate. A gate that leads to where? I have no idea. Hopefully to update 24. All right, so let's give ourselves the Gate skill right here. There it is. And let's just find out where it's gonna take us. Here we go. Ooh, look at that white spiral. Take me to Brazil. That's where I wanna go. Yo, look at that thing that popped up on the ground. Oh, it took us to the sea. We're currently 10,000 meters away from the Tiki Post. So we're not even like that far away. All right, so like an hour of free falling later, I'm seeing a bunch of islands on the ground. Oh no, those are just rocks. Oh, we're in danger zone 5. So that's where the gate takes you, to more danger. Yeah, not sure what's the point of that admin command. Seems kind of pointless to me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw this down into the D tier, guys. It's a little more useful than the meme fruit, I guess, but not by much. All right, guys, moving on to the final and probably my favorite admin power. No bias, of course. Draconic Incandescence of the Vermilion Firmament. If you guys are an OG of the channel, you have probably already seen it many times before being used by Admin Uzoth. I'm pretty sure this command was specifically made for him. That's why the name is so ridiculous. So basically, as soon as you activate it, the sky turns green, your screen color changes, and meteors just rain down from the sky. And guess what the range is? The entire sea. That's right, every single island. Nobody is safe from these meteors. And as far as I'm aware, this is literally like a one-shot kill. As soon as it touches you, you just get instantly vaporized, just like a meteor would do to you. So, pretty OP. So here's an example of me just being a total jerk, trolling noobs in the first sea with Uzoth. I pretended to type in the command kill everything, and he just dropped it into the first sea. Everybody just died. Yeah, this skill is just completely broken, absolutely epic. Just the fact that it takes up the entire map alone is ridiculous. I love it. I don't know about you guys, but I do want to be a little bit objective here. I would put this as the top of the S tier, but the slash commands are just better, guys. This is a very close second though. There it is, the Draconic Incandescence of the Vermilion Firmament. Coming up in the S tier. Well, there you have it, guys. Every single admin command ranked by me, who is not an admin. Now, with all of that out of the way, finally, let's rank every single update in the history of Blox Fruits. This one's gonna be fun. Let's jump into it with update 1. Fun fact, upon release, the game was actually called Blox Peas, and the fruits are called Demon Fruit. So the game originally released with these 12 fruits, the weakest being the Bomb, and the strongest being the Buddha, and the level cap at the time was only 300. In case you were curious, here's what the fruits actually look like. They were literal Blox fruits. I guess that's where the name eventually came from. Going from the left to right, you have the Bomb, Spike, Chop, Smoke, Rubber, Flame, Ice, Dark, Light, Magma, Quake, and the Buddha. They pretty much all look identical, just with some different stems and colors. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my Bomb fruit here. Maybe it blew up into pieces. What the hell? It also released with a bunch of swords, a couple of accessories and guns, and one additional obtainable fighting style, which is called Dark Step. Back in the day, it was actually Black Leg. Here you can see the YouTuber IBMain who hopped on update 1 with my game 43 himself. The money used to be called berries, and the leaderboard used to look different there on the top right. So here you can see, as I said, they were called demon fruits, and the names are actually repeated, just like back in One Piece. Looks like you could have purchased every single fruit and there was no stock. So here's gonna showcase to us the original Yoru. The model actually looked very much like the One Piece Yoru back in the day. And of course, when you kill an NPC, they would just scatter. They would just fall apart like Lego blocks. And here's a quick look of what the dark fruit as well as the ice fruit both look like back in the day. I mean, obviously, they're pretty outdated, but hey, they look pretty good back in the day, I'm sure. And guys, as we continue on with this video, be sure to comment down below on what your favorite update was. And because update 1 set the trend for what is to come in the future, we gotta put that in the S tier. Now, moving on to update number 2 came the legendary Phoenix and the spring fruit for some reason. I don't know why they came at the same time. So this is what it's supposed to look like. He's showing off the old pre-revamped Phoenix move. So yeah, you can go with the hybrid flight, the fast kicks, and of course the pre-revamped Phoenix model. Looked very, very stiff. And in case you were curious, all the skills looks exactly the same as it does today, 5 years later. I'm not playing. So along with the 2 new fruits came a brand new level cap, which was 500, and also the Electro fighting style. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It was called Electro. I mean, you unlock it the same way as you do now. Now, I mean, the update was decent, but relative to the future updates, it's not really that special. We're gonna put it into the C tier. Now, update 3 got 2 brand new legendaries, 2 of my favorite fruits, the String and the Rumble. Here you guys can take a look, the original String and the Rumble models. God, I missed them so much. So here are just some clips of Axior using the original String moves, Z, the original Flight, Spider-Man. Honestly, this one's probably better than the one we have now. That was the X move. There's the C move, the skill with the longest range ever, and of course, the V move, the Goth Thread. There also came a couple new islands, the Underwater City, Skypiea, and the Colosseum. But the coolest thing that dropped in this update was actually the ability to unlock Observation Haki for the first time. It is the same location, but the dude's name before Lord of Destruction was actually Usopp. All of this has been changed to avoid copyright. Pretty good update, bunch of new maps, Observation Haki. These are all very important. So we're gonna put this in the B tier. So there was also a half update, update 3.5, which introduced raid bosses. The first one being Greybeard, and killing him will help you unlock your Bacento V2. And usually with updates, there's a new increase in level capacity. This time it was 650. So not really much other than a raid boss. Honestly, not even as great as update 2. I think this will be our first F tier. So update 4 was a relatively smaller update. Came with the release of the Sand Fruit. There was also the introduction of the Euro V2 quest, which you pick up from Robot Mega over in Middletown. To be honest, to this day, I still don't know the difference between Yoru V1 and V2. And it's clear back in update 4, the max mastery was at 500 for your weapon. To be honest, guys, I really don't care about any of those. I think the biggest thing that released in update 4 was the release of code FUD10, which if you redeem it, gives you a whopping 1 single berry. All right, code FUD10 joke aside, this update was like, all right, whatever. I think this will also be in the C tier. I'm not gonna put this in any order. So update 5 once again introduced a brand new fruit, the Gravity Fruit. Along that came a brand new map in the first C called Fountain City. So I guess about this time is when stocks were introduced, so you couldn't just buy any fruit that you wanted anymore. The Gravity Fruit costed 2,300 Robux. Even the movement back in the day feels so different. Also, very exciting in the new update came a brand new fighting style, the Water Kung Fu. Just looking at IBMain going to buy Water Kung Fu right now, this Jinbei does not have that gold tooth that he does today. So with the introduction of the Blox fruit stocks, made the fruits much more rare and difficult to obtain, and that is a huge change to the game. I will actually put this into the A tier. Now comes update 6, which actually didn't release a new fruit for once, but revamped a bunch of them, including the Light, Magma, Ice, and the Flame. But what this update focused a lot more was actually on the PvP and the cruise aspect. So you know how when you die, you get your PvP automatically disabled for 15 minutes? Well, that was introduced during this update, as well as combat logging. So when you leave during combat, you lose your bounty. A brand new crew system was introduced during this update, and the new level cap went up to 750. Also, interestingly, apparently they added skills to all of the guns. If you thought the guns were trash now, just imagine how they were before update 6. They didn't even have skills. Honestly, this update was whatever for me. We're gonna put this in the C tier. Who cares about gun skills? So when update 7 came, nothing noticeable changed other than the addition of the Pawpaw fruit. That was pretty much it. That's everything that they did. So just taking a look here at Axior's Paw Fruit Showcase, I mean, it's pretty devastatingly obvious that it's the exact same fruit. So yeah, nothing really got added in update 7, but that's totally understandable because they were preparing for the biggest update in Blox Fruit's history. But just putting update 7 on a tier list here, we're gonna have to go with the F tier. There was no addition whatsoever, and even the Paw Fruit never received an update to this date. Blox Fruit's Update 8 saw the introduction of the second sea. The new islands included Kingdom of Rose, the Green Zone, Dark Arena, Graveyard, and many other small remote islands. On top of all that, we saw some new swords being added, specifically the Sadi, Shusui, and the Wando. The new raid boss, Blackbeard, as well as the factory raid where you can get random fruits. A brand new fighting style was also added, which was the Dragon Breath. But all of those said, most importantly, the biggest addition of all was the barrier fruit. Yeah, with the biggest update in Blox Fruit's history, they decided to just drop the barrier fruit in there for some reason. And here's what the barrier would have looked like. And here's a video of Axior hosting the first ever barrier fruit showcase. Dragon Breath, there's Axior getting it for the first time. Oh, it was called Dragon Claw? I guess they changed the name for that too. And of course, with a big update such as this, they had to increase the level cap. This time up to level 1000. All right, come on now, guys. You already know the deal. S tier. Now, update 8 was so amazing. Like, how do you follow up on that with update 9? Very easy. You add the dough fruit. That's right, your favorite PvP fruit, the dough, was added back in update 9. The original V1, which still looks the same today, but back then was the most powerful fruit you could have obtained. That's how the dough fruit used to look like. Honestly, just by looking at it, it would look like the smoke or something. Who would have thought its final form would eventually look like this? But not only that, this update was like the PvP player's dream because they also added the superhuman fighting style. Oh wait, there is more! They also added the true triple katana. Remember when I mentioned the 3 legendary swords earlier? Yeah, now you could combine them to buy the TTK from this green frog looking dude here. The way you obtain a sword doesn't really change, but the skills definitely look way different. There's the Tatsumaki. No offense, like this was probably the best sword at the time. It was the first mythical sword, but damn, it looks like trash compared to how it looks now. Tatsumaki! Come on, jeez! Pretty decent additions. I mean, can't go wrong with a dough. A tier. Update 10 introduced another mythical, the control fruit. And if we would look at the control showcase, then you would notice that once again, nothing has changed over the years. It looks exactly the same. This time, not as hype as the dough, in my opinion, but again, I wasn't there. I was making YouTube videos on eating fried chicken for a living. Now, with the added control fruit, of course, it would only make sense to introduce the order raid. Now, the order was really good for leveling back in the day because it would give you 3 levels every time, and when you use double XP, you would get 6 levels every order raid. Of course, they patched that now, so you can only gain 3 levels, so it's not really worth it anymore. And of course, also came a level cap increase of 1,250. B tier. Now, update 11 was also very iconic because that's when the fruit awakenings were introduced along with the awakening raids. The first 3 fruits to get an awakening were the flame, ice, and the quake. The update 11 announcement video was also the first ever video on the Gamer Robot YouTube channel. Here, they demonstrated how you would enter a raid and what the raid would look like to eventually awaken your ability. And if you were observant, you would notice that the max level has now gone up to 1350. So Winlock Toad Over Heaven was the original guide that would ascend you. This was the update where fragments were introduced. Prior to that, they were using those rare artifacts. Those were being used to reset stats and do race rerolls. So raid obviously changed the landscape of the game once again. We're gonna put that in the S tier. So update 12 awakened a couple more fruits. This time it was the light as well as the dark. This is an official review from Indra himself. Yeah, I think the light fruit has been revamped probably like 7 different times. There's also update 12 introducing the title system. Also the goal race. Yeah, that was also added during this update. Title system is pretty cool, but you know, not worthy of being in the S or A tier, I think. We're gonna put this in B. Now, update lucky number 13 was absolutely monumental because it introduced to us the mythical dragon fruits for which billions of people are waiting for a revamp 4 years later. So there was another level cap increase, this time to 1450, and big shout out to Bluxy here doing a showcase on the dragon fruit when it originally dropped. Although once again, it's pointless because it looks exactly the same. So back then, the String Awakening raid was also, look at that, damn. Yeah, the String Awakening was a new introduction back when people used to say Pog and Poggers. All right, Bluxy with the showcase. Eternal White, yep. Heavenly Punishment, let's take a look. Yeah, it looks the same, except I think now it changes color based on your hotkey. They also introduced the V2 of Dark Step, the Death Step fighting style. Look at that M1 animation. What the hell was that? You used to do a flip back in the day? Rocket Kick, Wind Bullet. Okay, I guess only the M1 has changed. Okay, the Vermilion drill looks different. Oh yeah, it's definitely different. And here's how the M1 looks now. No backflips. So lame. Update 13 was also the introduction of the Christmas event. Basically, you collect a bunch of candies by killing enemies that are the same level as you, like that. You could trade them for limited time accessories. Elf hat, Santa hat, the sleigh boat. You can also get race rerolls, stat resets, and all that good stuff. So based on everything that's said, I think it's safe to put Update 13 in the B tier as well. A couple of decent changes, but but nothing crazy. But as cool as Update 13 was, it will always be known as the calm before the storm, because little did everybody know at this time that Update 14 will bring forth the greatest introduction in Blox Fruits history. I'm talking about my channel. Yeah, Update 14 was when your boy started playing Blox Fruits for the first time ever. Everything's been uphill for Blox Fruits since then. I think when I started playing Blox Fruits Update 14, they were averaging like 50k players. Now, all thanks to me, and I take full responsibility, at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, we got 400,000 active players online. I'm not saying I want full ownership of the game, but I am waiting for a pretty big check from Indra and my game. Now, let's talk about the less important things in Update 14. So no new fruits were added, but there is the brand new cyborg race. Bro, it looks so much better. You even get like shoulder armor and stuff that come with it. Oh my God, Blox Fruits, what did you do? So there's also the introduction of Sharkman Karate, 12 water palms. Yeah, there you go. Thunder God got introduced in the same update as MeEnyu. Honestly, the revamped Rumble V2 definitely looks a lot better. Now, arguably, the second biggest introduction during Update 14 was the implementation of the Blox Fruits dealer cousin, because surprise, surprise, up until this point, there was no scam fruit cousin that you could get scammed from. This made it so much easier for players to obtain fruits because they could roll for a new one every 2 hours. Come on, guys, do I really need to explain S tier? You know what? We're putting this at the top. Now, of course, because I came onto the scene, the Blox Fruits owners decided they had to increase the quality of their game. And that's why for Update 15, they went completely crazy. I mean, just look at this. Yeah, Update 15 brought forth the third sea that we all know and love today. And with that came 5 brand new islands at the time: the Floating Turtle, Hydra Island, Port Town, Great Tree, and Castle on the Sea. Not only that, they dropped not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 brand new fruits. Just imagine Blox Fruits dropping 7 fruits in an update today. It will blow up the internet. So these are the fruits. The most noticeable one being the Venom, of course, still very powerful to this day. Second most notable is the Kilo, which no longer exists, along with the Door fruit, which has been changed to the Portal. So here's what those 7 fruits would have looked like in the game. So we got the Kilo, the Spin, the Falcon, Love, Diamond, Door, and of course the Venom. They also added 2 brand new fruit awakenings, the Magma fruit, and it was the first time we got introduced to the Titan shift with a Buddha. Yeah, the Titan shift was definitely epic back in the day. The level cap went from 1525 now up to 2000. We also had the brand new Electric Claw fighting style, the RIP Indra raid boss, just too much stuff for me to even talk about in this one short segment. Another big notable addition they added into the game was the fruit storage system, where you're finally able to store the fruits that you spin for. Back in the day, you either have to just eat it on the spot or drop it. And with that came the trading system. This was the first ever reveal of the trading system, and they had put the trade table over here at Dock 2. That would have been such a sicker place instead of the cafe, man. You get a nice view of the ocean while you're scanning noobs with your trades. Come on, guys. And while everybody was busy trading from a bomb up to a Venom, your boy was going from a Venom down to a bomb. And there's me making my final trade down from the spike to getting the bomb fruit. Honestly, guys, so much stuff happened during Update 15. Like, I could talk about it all day. It completely changed the way Blox Fruits is. All right, I can't even lie. Update 15 once again goes into the S tier. Just back-to-back bangers. For now, we gotta move on to Update 16, the Halloween event. Boo! So 2 new fruits were introduced in Update 16. We have the Shadow as well as the Revive, as it was called at the time. These are the 2 final fruits that were added before the models received like a complete revamp. So yeah, take one last good look at them. The Shadow fruit at the time was actually very strong. It was great for combos. And the Revive fruit was pretty cool because it gave you a chance at a second life. When you died, it turned into a skeleton. So the level cap has been increased to 2100, and a new island was added called the Haunted Castle, where you could defeat a raid boss that drops you another mythical sword called the Hollow Sight. There was also the addition of the Dragon Talon fighting style. That was the first time the world was introduced to Ammon Uzoth as an NPC. But the most notable thing back then was the Halloween event, where you can collect bones from NPCs and use them at the Death King to spin for random surprises. So yeah, my boy Joe and I basically spent hours collecting bones and just spun for like 100 fruits at the same time. It was pretty fun. Update 16 was alright. I think it deserves a spot in the B tier. Solid. But of course, all good things have to end. 10. After update 16 came the infamous update 17, which was divided into multiple parts. Let's start with part 1. So this update, they added a new fruit, the soul fruit, which was based off of Big Mom, of course, where you could summon a bunch of homies. You had the soul meter, and the model of the soul fruit was the first time the fruits kind of looked a little different. Yeah, check it out. It had like sunglasses and everything. It was a pretty dope design. And lastly, they awakened the sand fruit. All right, that sand raid was actually insanely difficult, but totally worth it. I did it with official newbie on stream, and it was an absolute blast. Honestly, lamest update out of the 3 parts. We're gonna put this into the C tier. Now, on to update 17 part 2, where they did not add any new fruits, but they did increase the level cap to 2300. They did introduce the first ever special raid for the Phoenix Awakening. You actually first need to get your Phoenix to 400 mastery. Get on over to Whole Cake to talk to this sick zombie looking dude before he'll finally sell you the raid chip for 1000 fragments. But I would say the single greatest thing to happen in this update was actually the release of your boy's special custom title, Nakama Forever. Honestly, it's a blessing and a curse. Now I can't join any public servers without people just spamming me for the title. But little do we know, update 17 part 3 was about to bring us the greatest fruit awakening of all time, the Dough Awakening. Honestly, no bias whatsoever, but come on, Nakama Forever title added into the game, that's just, alright, that's an easy A tier. So update 17 part 3, because it took so damn long to release, the hype was absolutely insurmountable, and the YouTube videos just started popping off like crazy. The fruits got a completely new look, no longer the cubes that we knew them to be, and they revamped all of the skills too, so nothing ever looked the same. Now comes update 17 part 4. This update saw the introduction of not only the Blizzard fruit, but very importantly, they changed the door fruit to now being called the Portal. The level cap got increased to 2450. So I'm gonna group update 17 part 3 and part 4 together because they came out so closely with each other, and I didn't really consider part 4 to be an update on its own. So we're gonna add this clearly into the S tier once again. This just completely changed Blox fruits forever. Now let's talk about update 18. This is known as the official release of the Race Awakenings, or else known as the V4. The Gamer Robot channel posted an official tutorial on how you're supposed to be unlocking Race V4, and everybody just completely lost their minds, sailed over to the sea like they were looking for the freaking One Piece. And yeah, you caught me. I completely milked that update. I made one video on every single Race Awakening. Man, Blox fruits gotta stop dropping these S tier updates. Come on now, I had to do it. So update 19 was a relatively smaller one. They didn't drop a new fruit, but they completely revamped the love and changed the strain to the spider. Again, I guess trying to avoid copyright. So we actually streamed this update with Newbie, Mr. B, and also Creecraft. Got to check out the revamped love fruit, the introduction of Besto Friendo, and this was the introduction of the first and also apparently last Valentine's event where you're able to kill NPCs. This time it's hearts, and you can use those hearts to trade for some items. One of them was actually an exclusive hockey color, which is pretty dope. And after that, once again, nothing happened. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like this one. This was one time where it felt Blox fruits was really getting away from One Piece, so a little sentimental, but I gotta put it in the F tier. I'm sorry. Until 8 months later when update 20 finally dropped. It was a big update though. Like, I'm not even gonna cap. I think the biggest introduction in that update was, of course, the mythical Zoan Mammoth. They also added the sound fruit and also changed the kilo fruit to the rocket, which is still the greatest sin the Blox fruit owners have ever committed. The fruits once again received a totally new look just a couple of updates later to the ones that we know and love today, and the level cap once again got increased to 2500. The brand new island was added, which was called the Tiki Outpost, which included some sea events like the Terror Shark and the Leviathan that we all know and love. And with the sea events drops, you can now unlock a brand new fighting style, the Sanguine Art. There was the new sword, the Shark Anchor, which is very dope. Also, what really flew under the radar was they reworked every single sword skill. Here's an example of the before for the triple katana. Here's an example now. Let's take a look at the Dark Blade. This is what the Dark Blade looked like. 1000 slashes, and of course the Dark Air Slash. Now take a look at this glow up. Look at this thing. Good lord. Dark Air Slash you can now hold down. Come on now. They also added a brand new feature with scrolls that you can use to enchant and upgrade your swords and guns. So you know me, who is very financially irresponsible. I had to go ahead and spend over $1,000 enchanting every single sword in the game. So whenever they make huge changes like this, you just gotta put them in S tier. Like, these are all major revamps and upgrades. So update 21 came really quickly after update 20, and really not much changed other than the revive got changed to the ghost, and also they reworked the combat fighting style, which was pretty cool. They also introduced the Halloween event where the cursed chest will spawn around the map every couple of minutes. That'll give you a bunch of bones. So once again, we spent a ton of bones to buy a bunch of fruits. I think the best fruit I got out of spending like 1,000,000 bones was the mammoth. Honestly, not bad, because the mammoth at the time was still brand new as a mythical. My luck finally turned around. So overall, it was a fun event, but nothing too crazy. We'll put this into the C tier. We're getting very close to present date now with update 22, which introduced the brand new mythical Kitsune fruit. So when the Kitsune finally released, your boy broke the world record to being the first one to unlock all the skills, I think in just under 8 minutes. A new C event was introduced, which is called the Kitsune Shrine, which will spawn in Zone 6 when the full moon appears. And basically, you collect a bunch of these blue embers and trade them over at the shrine. I mean, you guys get the deal. Dope update plus some cool C events. I think update 22 deserves a spot in the A tier. Now, moving on to the update we're currently on, which is infamously known as Winter Update Part 1. So they literally dropped 2 back-to-back updates with the Kitsune and now the T-Rex fruit. And the T-Rex fruit was pretty cool, but it was a little bit less hype compared to the Mammoth as well as the Kitsune. So what was probably more hype was they once again brought back those presents at North Pole for the Christmas event. And also, very low-key, they added a brand new subclass system where there's currently only one subclass and you can become a shipwright. Basically, you earn valor as you complete sea events, and becoming a shipwright will allow you to fix boats. T-Rex is cool, but not as good as the Kitsune. We're gonna put this into the B tier. And once again, as I'm recording this, it's currently been 6 months since the last update dropped. We do have a couple of sneak peeks and leaks of what the next update is gonna be, so let's take a look right here. First of all, everybody and their grandmas know that the dragon fruit is getting a total rework. This was posted 6 months ago by RIP Indra. Looking like the dragon move literally takes up the whole map, like I said. So once again, there's another showcase, probably the Z or the C move rework on the dragon. This is what the new model of the dragon fruit is going to look like, in case y'all were curious. Here, he deliberately showed the actual name of the skills now. So Zeolus did post a quick preview of the new island that is coming. Looks like a volcanic island that erupts. That is the most detailed preview we've gotten in 6 months. And it was a total of 4.37 seconds. But lucky for us, we don't need the official Blox Fruits admins to leak things to us. Some people have taken it upon themselves to find some leaks. So we got a pretty good preview of the Divine Art fighting style skills that are supposed to be dropping in the next update. It freezes time, bro. Here's a screenshot posted on Shafi's Twitter, who is the official VFX guy for Blox Fruits. And just one last thing quickly, in one of Uzat's recent videos, he sneaked the dinosaur bones that are in his inventory. Probably has something to do with that volcano island. One thing is for sure though, when update 24 drops, Blox Fruits is once again going to break the Roblox servers and the internet. And guys, something tells me we wouldn't have to wait much longer. Comment down below if you're also hyped. Just based off everything we've seen so far, I am confident to say update 24 will be in the S tier. Y'all can't quote me on that. And guys, for the final reveal, my favorite Blox Fruits update was, drumroll, update 27. Yeah, my future site is telling me that's gonna be the best update.